Born in Florida, Eglin Air Force Base.
Oh, I got you.
Fort Walton Beach.
Yeah, dude, I've spent some time down there.
Yeah?
Actually. Yeah, boy. Yeah, that's where my sister, like, the unit I was a part of before, our like active duty component sister unit is in Eglin.
Okay.
They have their own like compound and everything. And
Yeah.
which is awesome because you're not like under the flagpole, like right around all the other military people. They're away.
Right.
So it's yeah, I've done some extensive work down that way.
Oh, that's your intro.
I know.
Boom.
He's hip to it. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
What's good?
Yep.
Cam and Lev. That means we're on camera, Jeff. You want to take your shirt back off?
I'm good. I'm good.
Please don't.
Jeff was shirtless.
He was shirtless.
But just for us, not for y'all.
I was shedding the
Easy.
sweatshirt.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got
A
you.
little warm.
I got you.
A little warm.
I think I remember the first time I came up here and it was like hot. Like
Yeah.
it was like when we y'all
yeah.
first opened up and I was just like, y'all trying to do a freaking podcast up here?
Yeah,
Well, we got a
really
makeshift exposure of air
Yeah.
over there. We tied into it.
That's sort of embarrassing, but
Yeah, but nobody sees it. Really.
at least you're getting some air. That's all that matters.
Mark,
Yeah,
are
when
we
it's-
good?
When it's 100 degrees.
Well, Jeff, I don't know, buddy.
Yeah, we're not live yet.
Oh,
Go ahead and
Just-
express
just
anything that
what-
you
yeah,
want to
Jeff,
express.
what's on your heart? You wanna share
I
with-
was,
With us before we go
I was
live.
going to go and find us on and watch it.
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, special guest today, one of Carrollton in the West Georgia area, original Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. I think it'd have been Matt Daniel than you, maybe?
I think he got his before me.
Yeah.
He definitely got his before me.
Yeah. And
But-
my black belt,
Yeah.
Mr. Jonathan Collins. Ladies and gentlemen.
Collins.
Yo.
Do we got like a little hand clap thing in there?
Where's our little red thing?
Nope.
That's
Nope. Hey. I haven't done that one in a while, have you?
Those first two are appropriate though.
Yeah.
Well,
What's going on, man?
Yeah, man. Just living a dream.
Yeah?
It's a dream. you
It
know?
is a
Yeah, it's a
dream.
dream. Nah, we're good. Just down here for a quick trip.
Nice.
Glad I got to run into all of you.
For sure, man.
You
It's always
fine
great to
people.
have you come through, man.
Man, yeah, for sure.
Always.
For sure.
You want to give a little background on Jonathan Collins from Carrollton?
You want me to give the background?
Fucking right. You do it
where,
better than
where
I
do you
can.
want to Where do you want to start? What do you
Pre-military.
oh shoot. I guess all right, so I'll do how I got into martial arts. Will that work?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I got out of high school in '99. So
Damn.
showing my age a little bit. So
Class of 97 over here. Baby.
hey,
got
So
you beat.
I did that, and then
Yeah. 1980 what, Jeff?
I'm 94.
I was about to say
I was born in '86.
I mean, I'm old. I'm not that old. But
that's it's the slow march of time, boys. Like we're all gonna get there at some point, right?
That we are.
Yeah, man. So what was it?
94.
That was a good year.
Yeah, it was Death Row Records.
Tupac, baby. West Side.
Is that when he died?
96.
Damn, is it? Oh, was
no,
it really?
It was 96.
No,
I
he
think it
died.
was 96.
96.
I don't know.
Jeff knows his Tupac.
That's all I know.
He really does.
He's got a shirt.
I have a Tupac shirt.
We have a matching shirt.
Really?
Yeah,
We do.
it's a special occasion.
That's pretty awesome.
Where did I wear that Tupac shirt? I wore it.
You wore it to, I don't know, some super white little get together. I think it was.
Yeah, it was at his house.
No. It was somewhere else. It was after
Where
that.
did I wear that?
It was a really white event. I don't mean white as in whites only. I just mean white as in.
Oh, I wore it here to
Bremen.
the law enforcement class.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I came on a Friday afternoon to the law enforcement class and wore my Tupac
The Tupac shirt on?
Tupac shirt.
Did
yeah.
you choke somebody in a
did-
Tupac shirt?
No, well, I'd put my rash guard on.
Was
but
it
I
a
did,
hit?
Do what now?
Was it a hit?
No, but it was fun. It did get some looks, but the thing is, most of them were probably so young that I don't know. I guess
They know Tupac.
Yeah,
is.
they know.
So
everybody
on
knows.
that note of the youngness, real quick,
Yeah.
before I go
Mm.
back into my
Right.
story, but I was looking at a video earlier today, and it was some dude reviewing old hip hop that he'd
Oh,
never heard
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And he reviewed like a bunch of Beastie Boys, and he was like blown away. He was like, "Why do I not know about these guys?" And I was like, "Bro,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I got
Damn,
news for
man.
you, my son. Like it is, you got some learning to do." I mean, he's clearly a young guy, but it was kind of fun to watch him just like have his mind blown by like He did Beastie Boys. He did like Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
He did some other like Straight Outta Compton, you know, like he did all this stuff he did, and he was just like getting blown away over and over and over again. Like, man, I should listen to more oldies.
Yeah,
you know?
I love those React videos like that where guys hear things they've never heard before.
Yeah,
And they're hilarious. It's one of my favorite things to watch.
There was one I heard the other day that that comedian Tony Baker, he does
Dude,
all the
he is
voiceover stuff.
amazing.
He's
I love that
hilarious,
guy.
right?
He's so
Yeah.
funny.
Somebody, I guess he was doing like Q&A stuff, and somebody asked him, crucial conflict or do or die? You got to lose one. Who do you pick? That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real tough one. But I think body of work, got to go with do or die. Crucial conflict had like smoking on hay, and that was it. They had some other stuff, but didn't really count.
Didn't spike.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. What's your favorite do or die song there, Jeff?
I don't know.
Why not? Oh, you don't. I got you. I was hoping you just guess and make it funny.
Oh, sorry. I feel so out of the loop. It's weird. It's weird not having the headphones.
Oh, is it?
yeah,
Is it
it's
different
so
than you thought
weird.
it'd
Like
be?
I hear you perfectly fine. It's just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with the headphones, it's like we're all connected.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
different. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly okay, but it's just weird.
But you also hear you different.
yeah, that makes
You know what I mean?
It's like I really sound like this.
Yeah, right? That took me a while. I was like, damn, I really sound like that.
Yeah, dude.
So we want.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
we're
back
we're
to
bad
your-
about
Sorry.
tangents.
I'm
Bad
bad about
tangent.
tangents,
Little
man. I got
tangentize.
a attention span of a goldfish for real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think it's a requirement as black belts to be ADD.
I think that's about right. But
I'm on my way.
here,
Attaboy.
just keep going. Just keep going. Was it? What did I say? 94 or something like? No, okay, 99. That's what
99, yeah.
So I talked about how I graduated high school, and I was working, but like I spent like all my high school wanting to get out of Carrollton and
Right.
do the things, experience life and all this. And I wanted to go to college, but I was never really great at school. And all my friends ended up going to like UGA and Tech and all these places. And so every now and again they'd call me and they'd talk about, oh man, I went to a frat party or whatever and had a blast. And I'm like over here in Carrollton, like working, stocking shelves at this like department store. And I was going to, is it West Central Tech still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to Floyd College first, and then I went to West Central. I dropped out of both. Just wasn't enjoying school. I was never very good at school anyway.
Yeah.
And so I drop out. Well, actually, let me rewind. Before that, while I'm going to school and working, I had gotten out of school, and I'd been an athlete, and I was like, I got to do something, or I'm just going to get fat and, like, not have anything to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that, so I was
As young athletes do.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I had spent I'd gone to summer school one year and spent that summer with my friend Brad Culpepper. And we get out of class and we go to his house, and he had the ability to watch pay-per-view, and he would download, or I guess you didn't download back then. He would order like UFC fights, and at the time there was only like one or two.
Right.
And I remember seeing Hoist. The same story as all of us probably had,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
you saw Hoist, he beat everybody up, and you're like, oh man, I want to be like him one day. And so I get out of high school, I'm doing all that stuff, and I want to be an athlete again. And I remember I was like, I could probably do martial arts. So I went to the Yellow Pages, because
When it was a thing.
yeah, because
Kids,
exactly.
this was a
They have
book
no idea.
that you had to flip
everybody's
through pages.
everyone's phone number in it.
It's amazing.
in alphabetical
Crazy.
order. It was so
it was delivered
inefficient.
in the mail.
Yes. Not by Amazon.
No. So I went in there, and they had a actual martial arts section. And there was only like 4 things in
Yeah.
Carrollton. There was like Robinson Karate.
Damn, they were there back then.
Oh yeah, they've been there forever.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. One of my friends in high school is named Matt. He dated the Robinson's daughter, Sky Robinson. They're married now and got a bunch of kids and stuff. And but she was a black belt out there, and he's a black belt out there now. And anyway, so they were here. There was like a taekwondo place. There was an aikido guy, at the rec center, and then there was like the judo club out at the college, right? And so around this time too, my dad had a Encyclopedia Britannica, right?
Yep.
So I look up.
Remember
yeah,
those?
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't have a phone to look it up on. I looked it up in Encyclopedia Britannica, and I just went to like through martial arts in that encyclopedia, judo, jiu-jitsu, karate, kung fu, reading about them because I didn't know anything about martial arts, and I was like, I'll study it, and then I'll go to all these little schools and see what's good. And so I did that, and I'd gotten to judo in the encyclopedia, and I remember thinking like, well, that makes a lot of sense. It comes from battlefield, jiu-jitsu, where they, would punch each other, kick each other, but they'd also throw each other to the ground and, choke each other to death and all the things.
Mangle their limbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, that sounds very, very, it'd be awesome if I could know all of these things. So I went around hoping that I could find that, and also sort of felt like something I'd watched in the UFC, right? So I was like, maybe I could find something like that. So I really didn't, because all those things I mentioned was like Aikido, Taekwondo, and all that stuff. That doesn't compute really the same way. And so I was driving home, and on the where the new Performing Arts building is downtown? So
The Culture Arts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess where there's like the Marriott or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
So that used to be a storefront. There was a whole different building there. It was a storefront of like 4 or 5 spaces. And in one of them was a big banner, and it just said karate. And I was like, oh, I didn't see that one before. I'll go walk in. And I walk in, it's this dude named Sam Newman sitting there. Bald-headed guy. He's got black gi on. Y'all know how I love black gis.
Right.
And so I walk in, and it turns out he teaches a style of karate that's an offshoot of Kyokushin karate, which, if you're not familiar, there's like your kind of traditionalist Shotokan, like Robinson karate. And then there's more kind of a new school kind of era of karate that came about around I want to say the 50s or 60s, where like the head people were like, no, we're going to beat each other to death. Like, and so it's all the tournaments are bare knuckle. And
Was that where they didn't hit to the face?
yeah, they don't punch to the face, but shin kicking, knees.
Yeah. You could literally get gi grips and like leg kick, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
those are gnarly.
So it's not really great if you want to be a good realistic striker, because like you grew up boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if all you could do in boxing was hit
to the body? Yeah.
Like you'd fight somebody that could hit to the face and you just get
You just
really-
destroyed.
yeah,
Develop some weird habits.
weird habits.
Yeah.
So this style was an offshoot of that, but it had elements of traditional jiu-jitsu in there. So I walk in, he shows me a few things, and he lets me watch a class, and I was like, this is it. This is what I need to be learning, because he was teaching like the whole gamut of the fight, like from the standing to the grapple to the floor. And so I signed up, did that for a bunch of years, and I was super stoked, right? Felt like a superhero. I was learning how to break people's arms and stuff and choke people unconscious and whatnot. And at some point, I dropped out of both of those schools, and I was like, man, I can't be living at my mom and dad's house and having them basically take care of me, even though I am working.
Right.
That's not going to work.
Right.
So I just kind of grew up a certain way where, I'm a grown man. I should be taking care of myself. I should be.
Mm-hmm.
I can vote. I can fight in a war. Here in a couple of years, I'll be able to drink or whatever. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll join the military. So I had always wanted to be in the military, but like I at some point along the lines in high school had sort of started looking at it like the last resort kind of a deal. You know what I mean? Like it was for people who had like criminal records or that just couldn't hack it in real life, so you went to the military.
Yeah, they're just like dumb. You just
Correct.
You couldn't go to college. That was
Correct.
like, okay, you're dumb. You can't get a good job.
Yep.
Just go to the military.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I mean that's not the case. It's very backwards. But I wanted to be like all my friends. Like I wanted to be like my dad. Like he went to college. Both my parents are college educated, and got good jobs. And Bob's your uncle, right? So, but that clearly wasn't going to be the road. So I got in, and I'll fast forward some stuff because it's not that important. I went to basic, AIT, all that stuff. And then my first duty station was out in Hawaii. so lucked out because it's Hawaii. But
Right.
also in Hawaii, there is like every martial art you want. Like anything you can think of is there.
And this is what, by 2000?
That
3,
would have
4?
been man. That was like I got out there probably beginning of 2001.
Okay.
So I get there, settle in, and I'm stoked because I'd been consuming everything I could get about martial arts. Like I didn't care what it was buying books. You know, there wasn't YouTube back then, but
Right.
books, reading about it where I could, and it didn't matter what it was. I wanted to know, and so I get out there, and a little sidebar. My generation, I think, was kind of like, okay, get in the Army, get some college money, figure out what you want to do with your life. You know, we
Right.
don't do war. That was like, that was my uncle or my dad or what they did that. But we're more sophisticated now. Like
Yeah.
we're not going to go.
That
to
won't
war anytime
happen.
soon. Yeah. And so sure enough, it's like it was like 3 a.m. I was on this really early shift where I was working in the Army, and like my mom calls me and she's like, hey, you might want to check the TV. There's a plane that just flew into a building in New York. And I was like, yeah, Mom, I got to go to work. So I put on my boots and I go to work, and it's a complete just chaos, right? And so one building's burning, the other one, we watched the, next plane hit. We watched both of them go down, and like all of us were like, oh no, we are going to go ruin people over this. Like, and I mean, it was pretty crazy. So, but anyways, aside from all that, when I got word that I was going to Hawaii, my teacher, Sam Newman, he was like, look, Helson Gracie.
Just an asterisk. I want to come back to that right there, because
All right.
that's very fascinating to me. I want to know more
Yeah.
about that. I want to
All
come
right.
back to that. But go ahead with the martial
we'll come
arts
back
thing.
to it. So Sam was like, listen, man, Helson Gracie is out in Hawaii. If you don't train with him, you are an idiot. Like, you
Okay.
have got to go train with him. So he had trained with the Machado brothers out in Texas for a while, and I mean, he wasn't a ranked guy or anything, but he had went and learned. And by the way, Sam was like a multiple black belt holder. He had a judo black belt, so he
Sam
understood.
had trained at Machado's.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was able to like really feed that fire in me to like learn all of it, right? Learn everything. And so he was like, go learn with him, please. He is excellent. And I got out there and I was like, well, I'm going to be an MMA fighter. So like, I did not go immediately to Helson's place. I found a Kyokushin school, was training with them, getting beaten to death every class. I was getting shin kicked to death, getting shin kicked in the face, and it was awesome because like I was really getting after it and having fun. But my headspace was more like, I'm going to do some MMA, and I did some of that too, and nothing big, just trained a little bit. And then I got a hematoma in my thigh, like from leg kicking, getting just wailed on. So I had to take like 2 weeks off. So when I was coming back, I was like, all right, I was having trouble getting to the gym because I'd get off work and I had just a certain amount of time to actually get to practice, right?
Right.
And if you don't get there in time, the Japanese way of things is like you bow onto the mat, you sit on the mat until they tell you can come on if you're late. And ideally, you don't be late. It's
Right.
like not a thing. So,
Oh, you
me.
purple belts out there.
yeah. See,
Warm up,
you
skippers.
Yeah,
need
we're
to- you
we're
gotta
not
check
just talking shit. This is a real thing. Okay?
you got to check them, man. Like they get that purple belt and they start thinking, "Oh heck yeah, man! I'm one of the boys. Do what I want." So let's see. So so I had a conversation with myself. I was like, all right, man, like let's go and find some other stuff to train. So I trained some capoeira, which was super fun. Where you play music and everything.
Yeah,
You have to learn all the songs. You have to learn how to play all the instruments. And then it's super tough because you're constantly like doing cartwheels and crap. And
Right.
yeah. So I did that for a minute. Did some Kaji Kempo. Messed with. I think I did. I did a little Japanese jiu-jitsu here and there. And then I was like, yeah, I should go and try that jiu-jitsu out. it sounds pretty cool. I should check it out. And understand, I knew some groundwork, not a lot, nothing. I was like a white belt, but
Right.
I knew it like the Kimura was. I knew what the armbar was. I knew how to do a rear naked choke, but that was like my repertoire, I think.
The stuff that translated across other martial arts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, I wouldn't even say it's white belt class stuff. I mean, it's like the very, very basics of like submissions.
Like you know what it is.
and I'm not
but-
kidding. I had
yeah,
3,
yeah.
those 3, but I still thought, I'll probably be really good at this. I know what the guard is, sort of. I'll be really good at this. And sure enough, I saw actually a tournament, and I was like, I could probably enter this tournament and do pretty good, And so I went out to Helson's.
Typical white belt
Such
thought
a
process.
such a white belt.
Dude,
They're all the same, bro. They're all
Yeah.
every white belt's the
Every one
same.
of you.
It was,
Yeah.
yep, it's true, man. And so I joined up, and I just immediately just was getting just train wrecked by everybody. And I mean, I was holding my own to a degree, but like for the most part, I was just getting smoked.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really when I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like I have found it. That was like, I remember the conversation. It was like a weekend to doing jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I will be a black belt in this. I will. I don't care how long it takes. I will be a black belt. And yeah, here we are. So
And how many
That's-
years did it take you to get your black belt?
I'm a weird case. It took me 14 years,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
Yeah.
listen. I remember
No,
the
it takes
first
that long,
time,
guys.
the first time that I met Jonathan, I was probably still a white belt when you had kind of came back, and
yeah.
he was a purple belt,
Dude.
but he was like a 10 or 11 year purple belt when he came back, and he just like super slick. I'll never forget it. Him coming in and
The
it's like
rattiest purple
the
belt.
rattiest.
This shit was holding on by like threads.
You know how Dave's black belt looks?
Yeah.
It was like that and then some.
Did you think, was it the military? Is that
Yeah.
what kind of delayed you?
Yeah, I think because like, so I talked about 9/11 happening and all that, and so you're talking, I had some time overseas, and then just between like work, military's busy.
Right.
It's not like you can. It's not. It's hard because a normal life, you kind of you wake up, have some breakfast, go to work. Hopefully get off at a decent hour, and come back. Like I mean, sometimes in the military, it's like you're sat there at 7 o'clock at night, and you're still getting after it, doing something, or there's some mission requirement that comes up, or there's a night operation of some sort you have to do. So you just kind of have a lot of like start stop as far as training goes. Luckily for me, I had a fairly good schedule for the first few years, so I was able to like really dig in. But between like deployments and so about 2000, and so I did Iraq in 2005, and then I came back from that, and I was like sort of. I don't want to say I was PTSD'd, but I was a little PTSD'd. And I didn't see anything super terrible. Like, we got shot at a little bit and stuff. But, I mean, I know guys that, like, legit, they were in it for real. Like, I had a very okay time of it for the most part. And I come back, and I'm just a little, like, burnout and tired. We had sort of a toxic command at the time. And I got out completely. So I went, it was kind of funny because I was like, screw this, I'm done. And I was like, well, but I was in the reserves. At least I'll have something to do. And so, like, I spent, like, a year and some change in Hawaii just in the reserves. I drove an armored car, delivering money to banks and stuff. And all I was doing was, like, surfing and hanging out and doing jiu-jitsu. And it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But then I got a job as a contractor in Iraq. So I did that for, like, 2 years straight. So I didn't have an instructor. I didn't have – really, it was sporadic because I was – sort of able to train. There's like little troop like training centers, if you will, that they were doing what's called Modern Army Combatives. Like, so I was talking to Kyle about this yesterday. So a bunch of years ago, probably I think 2003 or 4 or so, one of the Hoist's black belts, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he created based off of jiu-jitsu, like a military system for hand-to-hand fighting for the Army. And it became a program of record. And now it's like taught Army-wide, right? It's very heavily jiu-jitsu, MMA focused, right? And so, like, guys are training. So I would, find, like, some, shed or whatever that they were training at. And I'd just show up and be like, hey, can I, I'm not in the Army, but can I, fight with you guys? and I would do that, and consequently also out there, you gotta think it's Iraq,
All right.
and nobody has gis, so that's when I did a lot of my like formative no gi time, because people were just showing up and they were like in t-shirt and shorts,
All right.
and so for 2 years like didn't have an instructor at all. I just kind of was there. I was a blue belt, and I had been a blue belt at the time. I think I got my blue belt like, oh shoot, it would have been like 02 or 03, I think. Because it took me a year, and that was a fun story too. Because like I was there for a year just grinding at Helson's place, and I remember it was like a year almost to the day. He comes in. It was like a Saturday. He looks at me all sideways. And he's like, "How long have you been a white belt?" And I was like a year, Helson. He was like, "It's time for your blue belt." And I was like, sweet. I was like excited. Like I was like, heck yeah, I've been grinding for this, And I expected like the whole, because what he used to do, he'd like do a class, and then like at the end of the night, he'd be like, all right, guys, hey, we're gonna promote this guy today, and you get your belt, and then you do the gauntlet.
Yeah.
And so I was like stoked, I was like, heck yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And so he was like, tomorrow I'm gonna promote you to blue belt. I was like, sweet. So I come back in the next day and I got like my crisp gi on and stuff, and I'm like, heck yeah, this is gonna be awesome.
Got my promotion gi on.
Yeah, promotion gi, and no promotion. he completely forgets, and like I'm like, and you know how it is. I'm not gonna go and be like, so hell, Sleo, bro.
Hey,
like,
What's up with that blue belt?
What up? Got that blue belt back there
You
behind
know.
the desk?
So,
I don't know. I think nowadays you might get a few people like that.
some
I'm
people
pretty
would.
sure
It's
that's
weird.
the case, man.
It's weird.
It's not the same.
It's
But-
weird.
So I was like, hey, dude, so I'm just going to ride this out and it'll be fine. And so I come in the next day, and it's like he forgot that he had this conversation. It's like, so, Porra, how long you been here as a white belt? And I'm like a year else? And he's like, I'm going to promote you tomorrow. And like, it's the same
Full
thing.
Groundhog Day.
Dude, it was like that for a month. It was like I'd come in and he'd be like, I'm
Maybe he
gonna
was
promote you.
testing you.
Every other day.
He might have
just
been
testing you a little bit.
He might have
See
been.
if you'd ask.
Yeah,
Maybe it might have been just like putting a little mind game with you a little bit.
maybe. That's a good observation.
He's going to the other
actually.
black belts. Look, I keep fucking with this white belt.
It's like, watch, I'm gonna ask him again.
Porra.
Yeah. So one day it was like a Saturday, and I'd come in and I'd given up all hope. I was like, I'm gonna be a white belt for my whole life. And I come in and he looks at me. He does one of these. He's like, and then he like just turns around and he walks into his office. He doesn't say a word. He just like goes,
Oh yeah.
and then he walks into his
You.
office and he comes out with a blue belt and just throws it at me. He's like, congratulations, you're a blue belt. And I was like,
That's great.
no fanfare whatsoever. Or whatever. And it was fine. It was great, man. It was actually a funny way to get promoted.
That's awesome.
So,
Dude,
yeah.
I think one of my favorite ones was when Caleb, Malachi, and Joseph went to blue. They were mid-roll, and
Oh, did
we
you?
had I just walked
The
out
Samuel
there
Joseph.
as they were
the
rolling.
Samuel, the Samuel Joseph just threw
and
it
I
at
just
him.
threw
I
him,
love
yeah,
that.
threw him blue
I
belts.
love that.
It was the best, really, to be honest. I like to, bring them up, make everybody line up, stuff like that, and make a thing of it and stuff. But
Sometimes they.
when it's blue, it's like, here you go get started now.
well, it's like it's like, congratulations, you've earned your place here.
Yes.
Kind of,
Yeah.
But
That was my blue was kind of similar. It was Brian Dean gave me my blue belt.
yeah,
And it was on a Saturday.
I love Brian.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
only like two people there that came in for open mat early, and he's like, "Come on, let's roll." So we rolled, and he's like, "Show me this. What would you do here?"
Oh, so
And-
he tested you.
Oh
out
yeah,
in
he
the
tested
role.
me, but
you didn't know it. I bet.
I had no idea,
Nice.
and he's like, "All right, what?" So I, we started in an actual role, and it was when I was in that phase of white belt where I thought Ezekiel chokes were the best thing ever.
I think I remember when you said
I was like
you'd be
running
after
Ezekiel,
the-
like after Ezekiel choke. And I tried to Ezekiel choke him, and I remember hanging off of him, like from bottom. And he stands up, and I'm like hanging off of him, trying to Ezekiel choke him. He feeds his arm through, and he just says, "Phoop." Oh, I just knocked the light off.
Jeff.
So yeah, I pulled a Jeff. So and he laughed, and I laughed, and it was a fun time. He's like, "Okay, hang on a second," and he walks back behind the desk. He comes back out. He throws me my blue belt. I was
Love
like,
it.
"Man, thank you."
Thank
I had no
you.
idea.
That's
Thank
really
you.
great,
Yeah,
man.
but we were integrity, or not integrity. DEF CON at the time was in a weird spot because we had changed ownership a couple times, or changed affiliations, not ownership.
Is that when it went from Gracie Baja?
Yeah, we
See, I was after
went
all
out,
that.
left Gracie Baja, and Crow had left,
Right.
and we were in this weird in between spot, and they went from super strict like Gracie Baja, the cards
Right.
where you fill them out
Yep.
every day that
I
you come and
remember.
you turn them into the desk.
Oh yeah.
That's how they keep track.
How they
Yeah.
keep track of
Yeah.
who's training
And like what classes you went to.
what classes you went
Right.
to,
Yeah.
when you were promoted, when you got
Yeah.
stripes, all
The
that.
attendance cards.
Yeah, on a little 5x7 card.
Didn't it wasn't it dependent, like you'd done this many classes, this many types of classes, and that
Yeah.
was like dependent on your stripe? Wasn't
Yes.
that the way it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to do so many classes. Now none of it was no-gi because I didn't train no-gi until I
Yeah.
was like a purple belt.
Yeah.
No dependent, but you had to do so many classes and do
Yeah.
all this stuff. So, so we were in the in between, and we didn't. He was running all the classes, but it was cool. I like that. That's how I got my blue belt.
That's
That
awesome.
was-
See, I got mine. It was cool. It was
oh no,
absolutely
yours
dope.
is hilarious.
But it was very
Yeah.
it was a very transactional kind of exchange, I
That
didn't
can
know
mean
it
a
was.
lot of things, Kyle.
It was it was,
Absolutely right.
it was a little this, a little that, but it was cool because like I got it from Jacare, and I got it at Lions
That
HQ.
is,
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
so-
get that lightly.
Oh no,
No.
that was cool.
You don't give a
I was
blue
getting ready
belt
for
to
my
anybody.
blue. I was studying with my blue with you while you were studying for your brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
That was when we were doing like a lot of privates together. And
Mhm.
I mean, it was privates, but I mean, really, we're just training partners.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It was lunch classes and evening, and
That was good, man. That was
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that time. Just
Me too.
because, like, sometimes it's hard to get people to actually just be like, hey, do you want to rep this out for like 500 reps
right.
or
Yeah.
whatever? Like people get bored. They like, oh, that's cool. I know it.
Well, look, how about we
Well,
go
let's
into this
spar.
bolo and into this and into that and down these rabbit holes, and it's like
Right.
that's cool when you're fucking off, but you can't
Right.
just be fucking off all the time,
Right.
man.
Yeah. I really enjoyed just getting in the reps because I remember what we do is we just set the timer for like 5 minutes and just
Yeah.
do one thing.
Yep.
And it'd just be like me getting beat up and then you getting beat up, then
Yep.
me getting beat up, and just pick what you want to do
Yep.
and just do it to me.
Yep.
And I mean, honestly, like I think I did some of the best growth in jiu-jitsu doing that with you, honestly.
I agree, and I think that's what was like obvious right away as a a big white belt was that I was getting results. Like I was seeing results. Like I was seeing the benefits of the work putting in. Like almost, I don't want to say immediately, but like within a month.
Let me
like,
ask you
almost
something. Did
immediately.
any of you guys ever journal?
I did not.
I started it when even like I
And-
have one now that I have put a little bit in, but I fell off over the last couple.
So
of
the
months.
moment I did was further into blue belt, but I still have them now. I have like a stack of composition books
Yep.
that are just I
Technique.
don't know how you would ever decipher it. Like sometimes I go back through them and I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I'm like trying to like because it's like written here and it's written there and it's written here and it's a
Yeah.
circle here pointing back down to here and it's like I just kept adding to it. It's like this giant montage of madness.
Sure.
But yeah, in that case, yeah. And then over the years, in my phone, I've got my notes that have
Right.
things, and then I'll cycle back through different techniques,
Yeah.
and I kind of do it that way.
That's
now.
one of the things I started doing like probably mid into my blue belt. I started like taking a notebook to class and writing notes on whatever he was saying. And I'd heard another guy talk about it. He was like, listen, if you go to college, right, you show up with like a notebook, pens, paper, and you're paying for a college degree. You're paying for jiu-jitsu.
Right.
He was like, write notes on it. Take notes, detail them as well as you can. Make sure they're decipherable to you, but that way, like, you'll have another way to kind of put that stuff to memory. And I'm telling you, man, that was the difference in a belt level for me.
Yeah.
Like, I started doing it, and I remember, like, it was like 2 weeks later. I come into the gym. I was fighting a couple of purple belts, and they were both like, dude, you're not a blue belt anymore. Like, they literally like, dude, you're like a problem now. And I was only like a one stripe blue belt, and they were like, you're not a blue belt. You need to be a purple belt soon. And I didn't get it soon, but that was like, I mean, I can't stress it enough how impactful it was
Yeah.
to just start taking. And I still do. I'll watch a YouTube video and like detail notes on it. And I have a study in my house. Like I told my wife, I was like, listen, you can do anything you want to the house, but I get one room. And it's mine. It's my study.
It's very, very, very sophisticated.
Yeah, I
of
know.
you.
I like to think I'm sophisticated, but I have a bookcase.
I'm very distinguished in my study.
Yeah, I like fine rum.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I have like the whole bottom shelf is like over the years I just collected books on jiu-jitsu and judo and martial arts and just sambo, whatever. And that's the whole like bottom shelf. And I've got probably like 4 notebooks from different times in my coming up where I was detailing just notes.
Something that
That is
I
awesome.
that I did start doing was I do notes on any privates that I do.
Right.
So if like Heath Langford was one that I really started with it, several years ago. Anyone that takes privates from me, I do detailed notes on what I teach them and why, and kind of keep the lineage of the progression, so that we can, if they ever have any questions, that we can go back and talk through it.
Yep.
And they know.
That's
and
a
they-
Did you keep notes?
Yeah,
on me
that's
and Sal?
cool.
I did.
Did
Yeah.
you put the one in there where he couldn't find your
Where
keys?
Sal couldn't grab
You
my
tell him
keys.
that.
Sal still struggles with left and right and grab key.
Bless his little heart.
Standing right in
Sal
front
gets
of him.
nervous.
Go ahead,
Just
Jeff.
saying.
Tell
Tell me
the
this story. I need to hear it.
Sal is all right. So we can't determine yet. We don't know if Sal is like, if he's really, really, really smart, like if he's just really, really dumb. Like where, you know what I'm talking about? Like you just can't really tell sometimes.
Like
And-
maybe he's just playing us.
Well,
Have
or
y'all expressed this to him?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
straight to his face.
Yeah.
But like, so
Because he's gonna hear this song.
No, he's aware.
so
He's
Sal, Sal and I,
Yeah, we've
Sal and I were both. I guess we were both still white belts, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And he and I, he's a bigger guy and he's really short. But
Yes,
he's
I
heavy.
know him very well.
Oh, you do know Sal?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the reason why Sal.
So, quick story why
Yeah, I
before,
know you
but
knew him.
when I had moved back to Carrollton back in, so I did that time as a contractor, came back to America, and then I moved to Brazil for a while, and then I came back. And when I moved back, I bumped into one of my oldest friends. Her name's Lillian, and we'd gone to high school together, rode the bus together, been close since like we were early teens. And anyways, I'm talking to her at one of her restaurants, and he's sitting down the way, and I just kept noticing this guy's like looking at me, giving me the hard stink eye, like, and like I was like, "What is this guy's gonna try to punch me?" I'm sorry. I started looking for weapons of convenience, like I'm gonna get attacked.
Something to hit him with.
And like at some point, he came up like it was a pretty good while later, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry I was looking at you some type of way, but I thought you were trying to get in on my cousin." And I was like, "Oh no, man, I've known her forever." And he's like, "No, I know. She just told me. Like I went to her and I was like, felt some type of way about you." And she set me straight. And I just want to tell you, I'm sorry if I was giving you this. I was like, "Man, it's cool." And ever since then, we're like super cool. Like he's a great dude, man.
He's so funny.
No,
Anyway.
if you ever had I don't know if you ever had like a casino or like a nice restaurant, Sal's the host.
Yeah.
Like you make Sal a host right away.
He
glads
is
hand with the
very, very lovable. I mean, he's a great guy, but he and I decided to do joint privates with Mark.
Awesome.
And so one day, where Mark is just doing some basic stuff, and Mark's working on, I guess this was when you were doing, it was same side grip, and this was when we were leading to something with I don't know what you were doing. What were you teaching? Was it something with a lapel? I'm trying to remember exactly what we were learning with the choke, standing choke.
Was it cross collar stuff?
Was it an Ezekiel?
No, I think we were talking about wrist locks, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, we were
this one here.
going.
Yeah.
just the roll through. So I had went down a tangent, and we talked about wrist locks in general, and I have went down
That's
this
right. It was
for a
wrist lock.
long time where wrist locks are everywhere, and just anywhere anybody touches you, you can wrist lock them basically. And just kind of giving them some concepts on, so not even to finish them, but to use them to dictate how someone puts their hands on you.
Right.
So even if they reach out and grab your gi,
Yes. Right.
you can wrist lock.
Well, now they're afraid to grab you.
Yeah, now
Right.
they can't touch you, right?
Yeah.
Now, Sam, there's a great example of this in a match Sam had at NFC where he he was going against a bigger guy. The kid was probably 40, 50 pounds heavier than Sam, and he reaches out, and Sam almost finishes that lapel spinning wrist lock again on him. So then he jerks back. Now the guy doesn't touch him.
Won't touch him.
He won't touch Sam, and you see it in the whole thing. And then Sam gets real spirited and cocky now because the guy can't touch him, and pulls and ankle locks him because he can get in underneath him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about that. So
Yeah, and so Mark is
standing up.
standing up.
Yep.
And I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the way, I don't know if Sal if he was in his head so much he wasn't paying attention, and Mark says,
Sal is standing right in front of me.
I mean, like
right
here.
in front of me.
And Mark says, "All right, just grab my gi, same side. Just grab my gi." And Sal just kind of stands there and he doesn't move. He's
Is
like
this a trick?
And Mark goes, "No, grab my gi, same side."
Grab my
And
lapel,
Sal
Sal.
just goes, and Sal kind of stands there like this, and he's kind of like moving.
He's kind of.
hand.
I think he cross grips.
Yeah, and he kind of and
You're
Mark
like,
goes,
yeah,
no.
no,
Mark
no.
goes,
So I move his hand
Mark
back.
said, same side. Just grab my gi on the Sal. Just reach your hand out and grab my gi on the same side. And Sal just kind of standing there. And finally, I just step up and I just grabbed Sal's hand and I went. and Mark is about to absolutely lose his mind. And at one point,
I took my gi off
at
and
one
walked
point
out
he
the
takes
front
his
door.
gi top off, throws it across the mat.
Because I'm done. Done.
This was
Walks-
like a Saturday morning.
Throws
Yeah.
it, it's right before open mat. Mark
Yeah.
just throws his gi top and yells something and walks barefoot, just walks right out the front door. And Sal and I are just standing there on the mat.
Me
Like,
and some other guys are stretching on the other end. I'm like, Sal, you're the first person that's ever been able to do
Yeah.
that.
That is hysterical.
and I'm
That's
sitting
the
there, I'm
best
like,
thing
I'm
ever.
looking at him, I'm looking at Kyle. I said, I had nothing to do with that. I said, nothing at all.
He had to
It's
make sure it's like,
amazing.
not me, guys.
I had
not
nothing
me.
to
Well,
do
that
with
reminds me of like I remember when we were still at DEF CON and remember when I was sort of the quasi head instructor because it was like,
Yeah.
oh, we're in between owners and like we don't
Yeah.
really know what to do, and I was like, I guess it's me. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching one of those kids from like Haralson County, and I was like, all right,
Sounds about right.
something like that, man. And he, I just remember this was like that moment where I was like, man, I don't mind teaching, but sometimes teaching is a labor of love because I remember I was telling this kid, I was like, all right, I think we were doing like a pass or something. I was like, all right, now take your right hand, reach out and grab his left pant leg at the ankle. And he looks at his two hands like this. He's like, and he like reaches out with his left hand against the right ankle. And I was like,
He's like making an
now,
L.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, now is that your right hand? And he lets go and he like looks at him and he goes, oh. And he just sits there and stares at his hands. And then he's
This
like,
is insane.
he reaches out and he's sort of like tentatively and he's like
Like,
looking at me like, is this correct?
Yes.
And I was like, and he does it. And I was like, now you've grabbed the wrong sleeve again. The other, and he was like, and then he's like,
Do you think it's
And he
because
finally
they
got
get
it,
so nervous?
It's got to be nerves.
I don't know.
I think
man.
it's got to be
nerves.
nerves.
It's got a mixture.
Gotta be nerves.
Mixture
Maybe.
of nerves and
And
stupidity.
I've had people literally.
It's like the white belt.
I'll say
Yeah.
you grab it with your right hand, and they'll reach with their left. I'm like, no, your right hand, and then they'll reach with their left again. I'm like, your right hand.
your
And
other
I'm like,
right
There's
hand.
not another option left at this
Yeah.
point. Like, by
You only got
default,
two.
you should have it right.
Yeah, bless him.
No
It's like-
pun intended.
I think it sounded when you told your story about Sal, it's like he had that blue screen of death, ding, 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 ding. You know, like,
Yeah, he powered off.
It did.
Everything
And-
just shut
I
down.
mean, he's powered off a lot in with us. I love Sal, but
He's a
he
funny
does
kid,
kind of zone out on us a little
Yeah,
bit.
that he does. That he definitely
he's
does.
A funny kid, dude.
But you get, like I said, you get those moments where I guess people get nervous, and then
I think that's what it is.
you see in competition sometimes people do shit they never would have, and you're like, what are you doing? Who are you right now?
Yeah.
And you got to chalk it up to nerves, fight or flight, whatever. But it's weird when people get that way in just a
Experience, too.
training. Yeah, for sure.
If you're, I find in the tournament setting, like, if you've done like 8 tournaments that year, like you're that big guy that you're fighting in the open division. It's kind of like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I fought Mark last night. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
Right. Right.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the comp scene is a little bit different. What are we hitting about time?
Yeah.
Oh,
What's
shit.
time?
That's quick.
Yeah. 45.
Dang.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. See?
Dang.
Time to tap out.
Already. We do 40. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn.
You're all sad now.
I'm sad.
I'm sad. Let's do
I'm
part
sad.
2 sometime.
We'll do
Next time
part
I'm
two.
in Carrollton.
Well, look, we'll put a bow on this thing and
All
yeah,
right.
try to have it back. So that led you into your Brown was at Alliance,
yeah, got that there.
right? And then spent
yeah.
what, maybe a couple years at Brown.
2.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
got the black,
and
and
then got the black.
got the first 2 degrees from Galvao, and which I mean he doesn't know me from Adam. He lives out in California. I was
Right.
up in Huntsville, but I mean it was an honor to get those 2 from him, and now I'm kind of like masterless again. So I don't know.
You fucking Ronin.
I just all I want is like
Creonte.
I just want the third degree, and I'll be happy. I just want
Yeah.
that one.
yeah, I'd like to see you get the third, man.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
I'm
can
due. It's time. Like I've had
for sure.
yeah I've had time and grade. So
For sure. Well, I can say without a doubt, man, that you've been a huge influence on not just my jiu-jitsu, but my life in general, because jiu-jitsu's been such an impact
Yeah, man.
on me. And you told me early on that it would be if you let it. And
Yeah.
some of the things are a little cliche, but man, they're true. If you let
Yep.
this thing work and do the work, and you learn a lot of lessons on that mat that
That's right.
translate in the real world. You just do. And everything you see that we're trying to build now and move on, everything from the podcast, to the Thai, to the jiu-jitsu, the gi, the no gi, the competitors, the families, the kids, the police. The police have come a long way.
Yeah.
All of our work that we've done, we absolutely can attribute to your foundation that you
Right,
laid
well,
for all of us, man. Absolutely,
it was
100%.
an honor to be a part of it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say that both of you, like I sat there and watched y'all both come up a little bit after me, and honestly, like y'all got here because y'all put in the work, man. Like I just kind of had a little bit more time and experience than y'all. Y'all are fully like responsible for your own success, and so I'm just glad I could sort of be a little bit of a part of it, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, you set that foundation for us to stand on.
Yeah,
And the time
absolutely.
that we were in, we were fortunate to have that. I feel like I was fortunate because you saw a lot of different roads from those guys back then. A
Yeah.
lot of them went a lot of different ways.
Yep.
And,
Sure did.
one left instead of right. And, our story looks totally different.
Yeah.
And I don't think without that foundation, like guys like you and Dave, I don't know that we'd all be doing what we're doing right now, man.
Yeah, it was cool for me. What really what mattered for me with guys like you and just a couple others was seeing that upper belt that wasn't a just total douchebag, right?
Right.
That just
God.
that didn't
Such a
have to
good
be.
point.
You didn't have to be aloof
Yeah.
to be an upper belt. That you would take time, you would work. You Doc. I spent a lot of time rolling with Doc where he was just an upper belt that was willing to give me some time of his,
Yeah.
and how valuable that is. And I think you see that translate through our academy now.
Yeah.
That where we've picked up on that, and we still we are very approachable. And I know that's not the case in a lot of gyms
Yep.
where you have upper belts that just if you want to talk to them, you better sign up for a private, probably
Yeah.
a group of privates.
Well, I mean,
because they'll probably
Probably.
sell them in buckets.
I think you guys
Probably.
would probably agree with me. Like for me, I always took the approach that like if I can make you as good as me or better,
Yeah.
like it's gonna make me better.
Yes.
So like for me, I was like, dude, I will give you anything that I know. That's
Yeah.
why I was like really hammering you on like basics, man. You got to get the fundamentals
Yeah.
because you could be that guy that just crushes people, or you could develop a good guard.
Yeah.
And so get good, But if you're tapping me out as a blue belt and I'm a brown belt, that's good.
Right.
That's a
Yes,
good
that's
thing. That
absolutely
means I
right.
did the right
Yeah.
thing. I taught you correctly, and then now I got to up my game.
Yeah.
So hey, man, that's the way it should go.
win-win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
those
man.
guys that not afraid to tap, not afraid to put themselves in positions to tap as an upper belt, and that's stuff that we do every day. I mean, we talk
Yeah.
about it all the time. I will tap if you do
Absolutely.
something to me where I'm not going to ego my way out of anything.
Sure.
And putting yourselves in those bad positions and bad opportunities so that you can tap. I will definitely do it and will definitely tap because
Definitely.
you see the value that you have in it.
Well, and you see the fads coming around now where it's going in cycles where people are now starting to talk about again about, making your partner look good and, making it more of a dance than just trying to trash them and smash their soul the whole time and everything. It's like, yeah, judo had that pegged a long time ago. Like, judo's like, yeah, you're supposed to do that. Like, how are we supposed to learn anything if
Yeah.
I'm actively resisting when you're trying to work mechanics? It's the same. I use the example of of a lift all the time. I tell people all the time, like right now, we're just using the bar. So we're low intensity, high volume. So your form should look perfect, just like a lift right now. You can't have good form if you stack all the weight in the world on it and try to make like a deadlift look good.
Yeah,
like it's going to look like trash. Yeah, and you're going to get hurt, right? You're going to get hurt. There's so many good examples of that. Like, and that's just, I mean, that's stuff that guys in the know from way back when have been doing forever. And, all right, before we go, we have to touch on, I have to get the instructional from, was it Hoyle Gracie?
Oh yeah, with that
with the Craig Jones toe hold.
I'll send it to you later.
Okay, yeah. It's been around for a while, people.
Yeah,
I saw it it's in one of my books at the house. I'll look it up and I'll find it for you and send it.
Send that to me.
Yeah, like it's funny because I kept seeing like people online, obviously. Like,
right.
Oh my god, it's so amazing. I was like, I saw it in a book like in 2003.
But that's what all those guys are doing. They're studying and going through old material and picking out gems.
The old gems, like they work for a reason, brother.
For sure.
Yeah, like,
and that's what I'm going to tap. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just totally randomly remembered. You wanted to ask me something about?
Well, no, I was.
Is it too long a conversation?
Yes, it would.
That'll be part two.
We'll have to round to that
For
because
sure.
it was more about, I have a friend of mine. Well, he's my cousin actually. He spent 20 years in the Army, retired, and I've heard his story about,
that whole
9/11, his reaction, where it went, and it's just fascinating.
That's always a interesting story, hearing where people are at, what they were doing, how they saw it.
That would be a whole.
We'll do part two. What were you about to say?
For sure.
I was going to tap out.
Yeah.
To screw Mikey Musumeci.
Musameshi. Musameshi.
He's such a little punk.
Why is he
and
such a punk?
I want to
Why
wad
does he
him
always
up.
have a black eye?
I want to wad him up and I want to throw him.
Oh, I just thought people didn't like him.
No, I don't like him. I would love to give him a black eye.
Why don't you like him?
He gets on my nerves so bad.
He's so cute and cuddly.
He is not.
He can like sit on his butt
He is
with
not.
his feet flat on the ground.
And I would like to grab him and just squash him a little bit more and throw it.
He doesn't
I
like
cannot
him.
stand.
It's the Hobbit phobia. He's like a little Hobbit, and the way that Mikey like grits his teeth when he talks to people,
and the mole that he does, the little when he takes his glasses off on the mat and he goes,
yeah, he can't stand the cell.
it looks like a little ground mole.
Wow.
And I can't. And what made me think of that? Just to tap out with "I hate Mikey" is the fact that about people going on Craig, saying Craig Jones and that toe hold was all new, and is Mikey trying to make up the Mikey lock that he tried to coin?
Been around.
Right. That's the thing. It
just-
all
but
goes
why
around and comes around.
Why does it make you angry?
I know. Why does it make you angry?
All right, the guinea shit does get me on my nerves, man.
Does he do this?
Yeah.
All the time.
I am so I
All
don't pay
the time.
attention to anybody in the like pro jiu-jitsu show. I just like
Really?
watch matches and I don't care what they're saying.
I
or
try
talking
not
about.
to, and it just
It gets a little tough after a while. It's like boxing now.
And he tries to act like all he does is eat pizza all the time. And
Runs 5 miles a day.
Yeah, I hate him. Okay, that's it. I'm
no
done.
EPO.
I'm out. I tap out with that.
I don't know. I'll tap out too then.
Yeah. I'm gonna double down on what I said earlier, man. I'm gonna tap out to. I appreciate you everything you done for
Hey,
me, man.
man.
For sure,
It's,
man. And we're
honor
gonna
was
keep it
mine,
going,
man, for real.
Yeah.
I'll tap with tomorrow is on UFC Fight Pass is Mateus Denise and Merrick Ali.
Yeah, who you got?
I think Merrick Ali will walk away with it, but I'd like to see Denise win it. I mean, just because
Mateus is
he's
Grace
the underdog.
or Marcelo Garcia.
But
Is that right?
I feel like that may be correct. But I'm not
but
sure.
I don't think he can hang with Merrick Ali. But I think it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And the only reason I like Mateus is, we met him when he came to that.
When he's at the Grappling Industries.
he came to that in
How much you think-
in Douglasville. And
Go ahead. Yes. Yeah.
How much you think Odyssey paid for him to come out to go hang out at Grappling Industries?
$2,000. $2,000 probably.
Come on, they're
$2,000.
buds. He came out and hung out for the fuck of it.
$2,000.
anyway,
Anyways,
Also,
he was very nice.
in addition to
he took a picture with Penn.
He did.
screw Mikey
There's
Musumeci.
more.
Screw Odyssey
Oh, my
Jiu-Jitsu.
God.
I hate you guys. I want to fight all y'all.
Is that a local gym?
Yes.
It's Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate you.
There's reason.
Come on, you don't hate them.
I hate them.
Why you don't
I
hate
don't like 'em.
anybody? You're a reverend.
I can hate.
You can forgive them.
There's reasons.
I
I
can
get
hate.
it.
Can you hate?
Yeah. I
As a
can
man of the cloth?
He hates in a Christian way.
hate. See this face?
In a Christian way.
If it was, he'd be saying "bless their little hearts" if it was a Christian.
Yeah, that'd be the Southern.
Bless them, just bless them.
You just want to choke the life out. I get it.
Well, we'll be able to. We'll see him next
We'll see him
Friday at
next
Fight
Friday
to
at
Win.
Fight
So
to Win.
I'm gonna just if we're gonna do a part 2, then I need to have a part 3 on all of why you
All of my hate.
all of the hate.
Oh,
I
it
want you to
goes
unpack
back.
it for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was I did a
Well,
lot
you
of
get-
talking. I need you to tell me the thing.
Yeah, we can do round 2. We'll
Yeah.
we'll close
Yeah.
this out.
Okay.
We'll do round 2.
All right. We love you guys. We're out.
All right.
Boom.
You know, I moonlit as a bartender for a little while.
Yeah,
so
I do. I do.
I'll
It's got a nice little satchel around it.
I know.
Would you call it a satchel? It's a ball. It's a what? A ball sack.
That's not a satchel. It's not a.
It looks Native American.
Well, it's
Rum.
Spanish.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
it's a
that's-
Spanish rum.
Same.
Well,
Yeah.
what they? Well, they were all indigenous people, right?
North America, you know.
I mean,
Are you talking about after Katrina or?
Oh,
Jesus.
I was talking about like the Aztec
Wait, no, that
Indians.
was Bush. Bush said that. I was just quoting Bush.
I was talking about the Aztecs.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Cam and the Rev. And then there was Jeff.
And there was Cam.
I didn't say anything.
Or
There
was
was
Cam.
Cam.
There was Cam.
Salute. We went over the top on this one, guys. Get it?
hand that rum back to me.
I just felt like, you know, that
Shukran Jazeera.
rum is. Where was rum developed? Was that
Caribbean, probably.
Was that right? Is it from South America? I don't know.
And
I-
some
I
pirate's
couldn't-
boot.
I couldn't tell you, but
I
this stuff is
okay,
awesome.
I gotta.
I love it.
It's really good. Shout that joker out. Show it to the camera.
Yeah, show it to the
nice
ca-
little gift from Jonathan Collins
from-
here.
from me
gift
to
from
all
a new
of you.
friend. Their old friend. We just met, but we're lifelongers now.
That is such good rum. Man.
Yeah, rum was first
read it. What's it say?
first made in the West Indies.
There you go.
See,
Uh,
and that is where the Indians came from.
And they were indigenous.
and then also,
So
yeah,
I don't know if that's accurate at all.
yeah, Barbados,
Barbados.
1650.
There you go, man.
That sounds very.
I mean,
Very
Captain
rummish.
Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah,
And Barbosa. Captain Barbosa.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Why is the rum always?
Why is the rum
Gone? Why is the
always
rum
gone?
always gone?
yeah.
Like shit.
So-
this is why.
Travesty.
So we have Jonathan Collins with us again for the
Heyo.
second episode. Yeah, so he's in town for a little bit. So we got him on a couple of episodes with us. So he's here hanging out again. We got to hear from him last episode. Went through his martial arts and jiu-jitsu journey, which was all really cool.
Very interesting.
Very,
Yeah, it's all right.
all right.
I didn't even talk to y'all about Brazil, man. Like that's
Yeah,
a-
man. Pick
some
back
stories
up on
in
some of
there.
that,
Yeah.
like in your comparison. Like, what'd you get out of Brazil, man?
So, man, I went down there thinking. I told you this
Venezuela.
last night, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna learn the newest, hottest techniques and stuff, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna just train wreck everyone." Son, I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna go down." I didn't really learn that much technique, honestly. I just got my butt kicked the whole time. I was down there with the Connection Rio crew, so shout out to Dennis Ash, like really tough black belt, Gordo black belt. He'd been living down there for like I want to say like a decade or something, and he started a hostel. He bought a house, I guess, and like just was hosting people that want to come down and do jiu-jitsu. So I was working as a contractor in Iraq, and I just emailed him and I was like, "Hey man, I want to come down and experience it all." And he was like, "Yeah dude, I'll put you up in a room, blah blah blah." He gave me the pricing, and I had sort of gotten pushed that way because at the time I think it was you remember ShareDog?
Yeah.
Or whatever
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck.
yeah, yeah.
So on the ShareDog forums, there's this dude that was posting like journal entries of his time in Brazil. His name's Jeremy Errol, and shout out to Jeremy, freaking good dude.
Yeah.
Army veteran. Very, very solid jiu-jitsu guy. But he was living down there in the hostel, and he was detailing his experiences. And I mean, you could bound it and put it in a book and sell it, man. He's a great writer.
That's
really,
awesome.
really awesome to just pick back up and go down his entries and read them all. And so I was like, this is where I need to go. So I just hit him up, and I came back from Iraq, trained a little bit at DEF CON with you guys, and then I bought a one-way ticket down there. And like I said, I thought I was gonna learn a bunch of stuff, but I learned a few things from Jeremy. I learned a few things from Dennis, but really it was just like what I really learned was the grind, kind of, because Gordo's gym was the type that, where you'd go in and you'd warm up with a technique, like one of the black belts there would be like, all right guys, do this move, and it'd be like a butterfly guard sweep or something, and you'd do it, and then they'd be like, all right, let's spar. And the way they did it was they'd have all the black belts, which again, this is another thing that was jarring to me, that there was like multiple black belts walking around on the mat, and they weren't instructors. They didn't own the place or anything. They were just there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They just trained there. And they'd line the black belts up, and then on the wall would be everyone else. And you just he'd be like, all right, pair up with the black belt. And it'd be like, 7 black belts on the mat or something, 8 black belts. And so he'd start a timer for 8 minutes, and you just get killed for 8 minutes. And then
The black belts were warming up by slaughtering the rest
more or
of the room.
less.
Yeah,
and they were
yeah.
expected to stay in the whole time, right?
Wow.
Like they were just there. That's their fixture. They stayed right in that little spot, and they would not move. And like basically when the round ended, you had 2 minutes to water up and like come to terms with the level of butt kicking that you just took. And then basically you would just shift one black belt over. So the line was
the whole
always
time
shifting.
you're just trying to do that butterfly sweep.
No.
or-
That
Oh,
that
you're
was the
past
warm up.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
This
okay,
is
okay.
just you like free for all, like
I
you're
got
just
you. Okay,
killing
okay,
each
okay.
other.
Just
I'm with
rolling.
you.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm
so
with
you would just shift over one, and so you're fighting the next guy, and then you'd shift over another and next guy, and you get to the end of the mat with the last black belt, and you'd fall back in on the wall. So you're now at the end of the line again, but it moved pretty quick. That was like the whole class, and so we would do that every night, and during the day Dennis would teach us. And he was a little bit different in his approach. He would teach actual like more of a structured class with like technique and stuff. If there was a tournament coming, he would just do smokers basically, where you do like 1,000 burpees, and then you'd have to fight everyone in the class. Like I never partook in any of the tournaments. I was just more there to like surf and have fun and go to the clubs and stuff and eat all the food. So yeah, that's really what I kind of took from it, was just like the grind and the intensity. Because I mean, like we were pretty intense at DEF CON and everything, but like not like that. Like
Right.
it wasn't. I know. I remember one time I got done with training, and you know how you'll get like the gi burn from getting crossface so hard,
Yeah.
and like it looked like I had a bad sunburn, and I was like flaking off. Like it was really gross. It was like one side of my face, and but yeah, I mean just the grind of it, and we would do like 2-a-days. Like we would go
Yeah.
in the morning and get beaten up, and then have some lunch and go to the beach or something, and then you'd come back and do it at night, and yeah, that was pretty rough.
Is Gordo is he connected to Philip Smith?
Yes.
Is
Yeah,
his
you
wife?
remember a couple of years ago,
Yeah, yeah.
he did a
He did a
seminar,
seminar
up here.
there,
I went
right?
up there for
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it was kind of cool because he sort of remembered me. I was like, hey, I came down there and trained with you for a few years, or not a few years, but for a little bit down.
Yeah,
So
At
that's
your
where
academy
Philip
and-
goes when he goes to Brazil.
yeah. I think his wife's related to him.
Is it really?
Uh,
Oh, she-
Yeah, he married a Brazilian.
she's
lady, huh?
she's Brazilian. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
but she doesn't. I don't think she trains, but I think she's related somehow, maybe a cousin or something to
Yeah.
Gordo, because he comes up when I trained there with him. He was coming up like every year. Like he would come up and do a seminar
Right.
with Philip. But yeah, it's cool. I thought that's what I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. He's for the listeners, he's the old Gracie Baja guy, originally Henzo affiliate too. At some point, he hurt his knee like at purple belt, I think it was, and so he stopped doing like full guard because he couldn't lock the guard up properly, and so he started doing half guard. Now at the time, it was called half guard because you were halfway to having your guard pass. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And so like he was like, oh, I can't really fight any other way. So he just would grab onto the half guard, and he started figuring out ways to fight from there. So he's really kind of the originator
Yeah,
of
innovator.
like all the innovator,
Yeah.
originator of all the half guard stuff that we sort of know today as really basic half guard.
Yeah, well, and
theory
then
and all
that to kind of translate and chain all that together. So Phillips trained with him a lot. Every time he goes to Brazil, Philip goes to Brazil. I think he goes down there once a year too. He trains with him, and Philip does a lot of deep half. You
Yep.
know, he's really
Yes.
which gave me my deep half. So
Right.
it's kind of funny how jiu-jitsu chains
Yeah.
like that, and how one guy you don't think. I don't know really of another martial art that works that same way with techniques.
Yep.
You know, that where
Where it's like a continuous, like,
a
I don't know if
line.
you call it lineage.
Kind,
but
yeah, a
kind of,
line.
yeah.
And
it
even
echoes into.
yeah, and
you
it's but it's also so new. So like De La Riva, you know who De La Riva is.
Right.
You know, he originated
his
the
name.
De La. He is
Right.
that's his name. He's still living. He,
Right.
You know, it's who started some of all the techniques, and it's really cool. You know, 100 years from now, how all this stuff will kind of be looked at with jiu-jitsu is back in the beginning stages of jiu-jitsu, and that's where we are. We are in the beginning stages, and it feels like just in the 16 years now, that 16 years that I've been training, that it's changed so much.
It really has.
You know,
I
and
remember
still
when
changing.
I first got into it. I remember so I got into it about 2000-ish, 2001. Yeah, I've been 2001. And like back then, pretty much the basics were like still what everybody's focused on. There was no YouTube. So like when you went to a tournament, if you were, say, Gracie Baja, like all your team would have been working on certain techniques, right? So you fight, say, I don't know, Ricardo Del Riva's school, they're all working on what he does. And so it was kind of like a melting pot at the tournament where you kind of saw things and saw what worked, what didn't. Now it's like expanded to where like you can see what some dude is doing in,
across the country.
Singapore.
Yeah, or yeah,
Right,
yeah.
like, and he's innovating some weird thing, and like you put it in your game, then it cross pollinates to somewhere else, and blah blah blah. But back then, you didn't really have that ability as much. But what I remember noticing was like the weird way it was like initially, to me anyway, black belts were seen as like sort of canceling each other out, like at a high level, like when you see the Brasileiros or like the Worlds or whatever, and two black belts would fight, and typically they might just go back and forth on sweeps and or takedown attempts, and whoever had the most advantages at the end of the day would win. But then there was an evolution where like people really started going after submissions, most notably like remember Jacare D'Souza.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I remember reading like Gracie Mag back in the day when it was like half Portuguese, half English, and there was like articles getting written about him because he had just his brown belt and then later his black. And I remember like they would read like, unbelievably, this dude showed up to the tournament and submitted 8 of his 9 opponents. Like,
Yeah.
and nobody could believe it. Everybody was like, holy crap, man. Like, because everybody sort of accepted like, okay,
Yeah,
they're
that
just
it's
gonna
a points.
they're so
It's
good.
going to be back and forth.
Yep.
It's going to be even. You're just going to go by points and advantages.
Correct.
And it's going to be
Well,
kind of, and that's kind of the beginnings of jiu-jitsu being dull and boring. That myth, or the stereotype, I guess, that jiu-jitsu's boring is because everything just cancels each other out, and it's very
Well, it's the
stale.
age of that like gentleman's agreement that if I get put down here, then I now play guard,
Right.
no matter what. Whereas as time has gone on, like people don't accept positions as much as
Right.
they used to.
Yeah.
Like you got to really earn it, and earn it without putting yourself out of position or overcommitting,
Yeah.
right? Especially when in the top and bottom equation, you know.
I was laughing too because it was him for a little while, and I was like, look at this. This guy's like, I mean, he was smoking people. You
Yeah.
look up some
Yeah.
of those old highlight reels,
Oh yeah.
and he was just
Jacare's
running
old
over
ones are
people.
dope, yeah.
And like nobody could deal with his takedowns. Nobody could deal with his submission, and his passing was incredible. And then the next evolution, like I remember, Marcelo Garcia came out,
Yep.
and he started doing like X guard. He choked Shaolin out at ADCC or whatever,
Yeah.
and and everybody wanted to know the X guard. And so for a little while it was that, and
Yep.
then like the Cobrinha came out. Everybody wanted to know his open guard. Then the Mendez brothers started beating Cobrinha, and then it just keeps going and going.
When he had
and going.
Hodger right back around,
Yeah, like-
Hodger's 100%
Hodger
submission
will
rate.
always be.
It's just Hodger's that motherfucker. Yeah,
He's-
for
he's-
sure.
he's so good.
That was the first actual true jiu-jitsu video I ever watched. Was him and Jacare. That
was
match
an
down there,
amazing
where he
fight.
broke
Where
Jacare's
he broke his arm. Yeah.
that's
Dude,
the
that-
first and like I love jiu-jitsu. for the same reasons, kind of like you loved it.
Yeah.
I growing up in in high school, in the middle of West Virginia, obviously there were no jiu-jitsu schools.
No.
We were all just the regular sports, and
Yeah.
we were in the basement of Jacob Matheny's house, and
Beating each other up.
him and his brother.
Matheny.
Jacob Matheny is a chiropractor now.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
chiropractors
So
will get you.
He and his brother, he had a younger brother. His name was Brent.
Oh no. I don't know why.
His younger brother was Brent, who went on to play professional baseball up to AA or something, and now coaches at a college.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we would down, and we ordered on pay-per-view the UFC fights, and then would take turns from mount, just armbarring each other. Just like we just started mount, we just armbar.
That hurt. Do it again.
Yeah,
do it again.
yeah, just over and over and over.
Again.
We had no idea what we were doing, but and his younger brother Brent was always he's a little smaller, a little bit more agile, and like he would try to just like jump on an arm, like a flying arm bar. But we had no idea what we were doing. And from that point in high school, I was like, man, I always want to train. I would love to be able to do jujitsu.
Yep.
And I was 16, 15, 16, 17 years
How old are you again?
I am 45 now.
Okay.
So this would have been in the mid 94, 95. And then, so I never trained. And at 29, we moved to Carrollton. And I remember driving, I was driving from like Atlanta, coming down 61. When we first moved to Carrollton, I lived right on 61 by where Z1 is.
Yeah.
And there's little brick houses right across the road. And I was driving down 61, and I looked to the left and saw DEF CON.
Hey.
And I saw Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was like, man, that's not very far from my house. I want to try it. And I hadn't done anything since high school or early college. I did just the normal stupid freshman ultimate frisbee college stuff, and did basically nothing. And then went in there, and Crow was in there, and Mike, I don't remember what Mike's name was. Do you remember Mike? He would have been like he was a blue belt when I first started, and he ended up stopping. He didn't train, so he may have been gone by the time you guys got there.
Maybe.
Been a bunch of mics.
But he was a bigger guy, and it was a blue belt. And when I went in, he talked to me. He's like, hey, and he gave me the big guy speech. He's like, hey, you're a big guy. You'll do okay. You'll have fun. And I didn't know he was just trying to rope me in to beat me up. Because I was thinking, I might be actually pretty good at this.
I better be careful.
I'm big, I'm athletic. I'm okay. I can move a little bit. And Crow, the first night, in the gi, I can't remember. He choked me out so many times. It was like cross collar choke from closed guard. It was just all I knew is I was on top, so I thought I was supposed to win.
Yep.
And then I couldn't breathe, and everything was going black. And here's this little guy. Crow's like 5'9". At the time, he was 150 pounds.
Yeah, he wasn't that big.
He's way bigger now.
I like him. He was good.
Yeah,
he was a fun training
super
partner.
fun. Yeah,
So he was
super
about
good guy.
150.
Yeah, he's
I
about
never trained under
150,
Crow.
155.
Yeah, he wasn't big, but like he felt heavy, and he was strong as only a black belt can. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, the
He was a
difference.
black belt.
Yeah.
He had
He
black
was a black belt
strength.
already. He was
Yeah,
really
black
grip
belt
strength
strength.
was killer.
All that was there, but super friendly, very Brazilian. But he was very friendly. He wasn't the angry Brazilian. He was the friendly Brazilian. There's a difference.
There is a difference. Yeah.
But very friendly. He's like, oh, you did so good. Pat me on the back. You did so good. Come back tomorrow night. You did so good. I was like, man, I just got choked out like 8 times in 45 seconds.
Dude, when I
There's
was
no
in
way.
Brazil, I remember I was training this one guy. His name was like Mateo or something like that. Anyways, he gets done mopping the floor with me, and he was like, "Oh man, you're like really strong. Good job. You're doing great." And he like walks off the mat, and like one of my like the gringo training partners comes up he was like one of the Europeans, and he comes up. He's like, "So when they tell you you're really strong, they're basically telling you you're trash." I was like, oh, okay. So I have no technique. He's like, you have no technique. It was very demoralizing.
Speaking of like old videos and stuff, I remember the first ones that caught my eye. One of them, the Hodger and Jacare one, I remember you putting me on to. There was the highlight of Kyotera. It had that I forget who did the song, but
There's a song?
there's a song that I Can't Stop. I think Jay-Z did it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They did like a club remix to it. Every time I hear it, I think of that highlight. It's the first time I ever heard it.
Okay.
Anyways,
Anyway.
Said I Can't Stop Loving You by Tammy Wynette.
it's definitely not. But there's like a highlight of like when Kyotera and Jeff Glover went at it, and like Jeff Glover's doing the donkey guard, and Kyotera jumps his back, and he tries to roll out, and it's this mad crazy scramble. It was that one, and then Cyborgs.
Which cyborg are you
choose
talking about? The female?
Abreu.
Abreu.
Yeah.
That guy's scary.
Yeah, this is back before people figured out that, like, you know, he was a little extra Brazilian. But he's covering up like scandals and whatnot. You know?
Scandals.
Yeah.
So yeah, I told
Fight
you
sports
I
stuff.
don't be paying attention to all this.
Yeah, you couldn't help
Extra
but
stuff.
run into that one.
Well,
That
isn't
one
he
was-
down in Miami? I think.
Yeah,
Is that
Fight
where
Sports is
Yeah, he's
Miami.
down in Miami. I remember when I was down there I was down doing some Army stuff down in Florida one time, and I found a Gracie Baja gym, and there was one of his guys that was visiting also, and he had the little gi on and everything with the Fight Sports logo, and he was like a blue belt, and I was a brown belt at the time, and I remember he had like the identical game. He was doing all the tornado guard and inverted stuff which is funny to me because I'm not knocking Cyborg because it is, you know, he learned from people. You know how it is. Like, you're going to see the same techniques over time. You're going to create quote unquote a technique, and somebody else is going to also create that same technique because the human brain works a certain way. But I remember back early on, there's this guy named Holeta who was doing all that tornado guard stuff back in like the 90s.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
If you look up something like, he fought Salo one year,
Yeah.
and it was this big to do because he overhead swept Salo into an armbar like within like no time at all, and Salo was at the time like, I mean,
man.
come on, Salo was
The
like
man. Yeah.
crying out loud. But anyways, like it was interesting when I started noticing Cyborg, and I was like, holy crap, he has like a very similar game to Holeta. Like it was pretty cool to watch. Anyway, I digress.
I remember seeing Salo go slight tangent.
Do it.
I remember it was him defending the back. Maybe it was it him or Zhangji? It was one of them. But he Galval had his back, and it was like Moon Dolls or something. It was back when their gis were really big and they had all the patches in the world.
Yeah, it's like
So-
judo gi.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
long judo
But
gi.
I remember it was the craziest thing
like
to
this.
me at the time because he didn't protect his neck at all. And he fought the hooks and just kept his body moving out of position because if Galval couldn't hold him, he couldn't choke him. And I remember it was like a moment that like I had this light bulb moment. I was like, oh, like if they can't hold me, if they can't hold my hips in place, then I can always keep turning into them. They can't choke me, you know. And that my coaching, everything, it just leveled up right then and there.
Hey, watching tape is
Well, I remember watching it. I go, wow, that's kind of cool. I guess
I love
guess
watching
that's
tape,
possible. And then I look and I'm like, that's Andre Galval on his back. And I'm like, oh, that really, really works.
Now, Andre, you don't want to have him on your back.
No.
Like, he like
In
whenever
the
he would,
gi,
dude,
like-
when he would come out and do seminars, he'd occasionally roll with, you know, some of the black belts and stuff, and like, even when he's not really trying too hard,
Yeah.
I mean, he's got impeccable technique. I mean, he's very good. Anyway, but
it's
Talk
crazy.
about the guys that came out of that camp.
The levels
Keenan.
of everything. We talked about it on the podcast before about how there's levels to everything, you know, and those guys at the very top of jiu-jitsu, how they are so much better than even anybody that you've ever rolled with,
Yeah.
you know, especially if you're just training at a local level and you're just, you know, used to Nagas and your gym and just people that are around, and you train with someone that's super high level. You know, there's a video that I sent you guys of someone doing a long drive contest with Tiger Woods.
right.
Oh, where he does.
And so this guy gets up and they're coaching him through it, and he just cranks a drive, like beautiful golf shot, long drive.
Tiger Woods is applauding him.
Tiger Woods is like, yeah, he's doing the Brazilian thing to him, right? He's patting him on the back. Oh, you're so good. That's so long. He tees it up. He gets on his knees and outdrives this guy from his knees. And,
Damn.
you know, just tink, and
saw that.
just
Yeah, that's nice.
ridiculous.
So I remember early, like when I had first come to DEF CON, talking about that whole different level
Yeah.
thing. I had first time come to DEF CON, and I remember Tex was there,
Yeah.
and he was I think he was a purple belt already.
Okay.
Could be
Yeah.
wrong, but so remember back when around here, because the South gets everything last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
there wasn't a lot of gyms, there wasn't a lot of tournaments. You know, you might have to drive 5 hours to get to a tournament, and then you have one fight, and it's not even your weight class, kind of deal. And I remember he introduced himself to me, and this isn't me knocking Tex. It's not like I love Tex. It's but I remember
Bit
this.
of a caveman. We all know.
I think he would be
He
very like happy in the 1300s swinging a battle axe into someone's face.
Yeah. I
Like
think that would
he'd
make
be
a lot
like
of
right at
sense.
home. Like that guy, you know, as far as genetically, that guy really, he's a very good athlete.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, neither here nor there. And he was telling me that he'd won Naga or whatever, and I was like, yeah, that's whatever. I don't care. And I wasn't trying to be an asshole, but I was just like, yeah, I mean, cool, but you know, he was like, but I'm Naga champion, and I was like, well, I mean, have you won a IBJJF event or anything like that? And he's like, well, no. And I remember I could see the wheels turning, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, hey man, you should do some of those. If you're killing Nagas, you should go and do those.
Yeah.
And then he started doing it and killing people, and I was
Right.
like, heck yeah, man, like
Yeah.
that's awesome, because I mean, I think that's sort of may have been, I don't know, I can't speak for Tex, but like after that, and then you start going to Alliance
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything else, and the rest is history, man.
Oh,
He
well,
worked his way.
Tex
up.
was-
He's one of the best grapplers.
He was top 10 in the world at one point.
Exactly.
Before
I
his
mean,
back finally went, like, he
Yeah.
was top 10 in the world. Legit. I literally referenced a match to Buddha, one of our blue belts.
Yeah.
Today, talking about in Steam a lot.
Yeah.
On, I forget the guy's first name, a big ball guy, Hansen. Guy went basically like reverse De La Hiva and put the foot in the hip.
Yep.
And Tex broke
Tex
his
was
shit
like,
off. Yep, right away.
you don't know who I am, dude.
No, dude.
He'll
Speaking of
break
highlight
your crap
videos,
off.
Texas, one of his Tex.
Not Texas.
Not
Jeff.
Texas, Jeff.
Oh.
Not
Don't get
Texas.
excited. No.
S apostrophe.
He one of his highlight videos of him flying armbarring people, like he's probably really known for mostly his leg locks,
Yeah, he's a good
but
football.
people forget. Like he was
He used to,
flying
yeah.
armbarring the shit out of people,
Yeah.
dude. Like like even in MMA, run across
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ring and fly at somebody.
Just
and
dive.
Do you
Yeah.
remember when he
fucking
knocked
right.
that guy out from the
From the
guard?
guard?
Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
bottom, just
Yeah.
tooling him
Yeah.
up, and the guy just went limp. I
Just
was like,
done.
I have never seen that.
No.
Of course, Tex would do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What did he
of
do?
course
Knock the
would.
guy out from guard?
Yeah, see,
From
like
his back.
I think
He
he
started
pulled
hitting him.
guard, and
Yes.
he just like
In,
started
in
punching him in the
MMA,
face.
that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You
No.
know, guys. But Tex had gotten knocked out a few times from his feet, and he's a very good grappler. So yeah, he would do stuff like just run across the ring cage and just like trying to fly and armbar him. He would like trying to jump guard.
Dude, he'd leave people screaming,
Yeah.
screaming.
He didn't really like put a break on it.
No.
So it was
No, there's no
If it was a
break.
tournament,
It was-
he just was like,
he,
"Well, we
like-
all signed the waivers."
Paul Harris to everybody.
Yep.
He
He'd
just-
stop. At least he'd stop.
He
Yeah.
would stop.
He
but
just
after
if
it
you had
broke,
time to.
Yeah, it was 0 to 100.
But I
on
mean,
everything.
you did sign
Fair
up
enough.
for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly
No.
mad about it.
No, I don't.
I don't want you to like tear my meniscus or anything, but
Yeah.
like you said, he will stop. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
He'll
yeah.
he won't continue to rip your leg completely off.
Yeah, not full Paul Harris.
But you know something I noticed
But-
about Tex before he stopped training. He came here a couple times. Dave had him in.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been long back training off of my knee surgery.
Yeah.
And so I was feeling fine, like my knee was good and everything, but I was fluffy, like I was trying to get back into shape.
Yeah.
And but Tex will goon certain submissions, like a straight ankle, something like that, things that
To
afford.
make you react. To
Yes,
yep, he will.
absolutely.
Yep.
And it was like, but it was stuff that was less mechanics, more control. If it was a heel hook, he'd slow it down. But
Yeah.
either he'd get the tap out of you from like like going into it, or he'd get the reaction he wanted out of you to get
Yes.
a different submission.
Yep.
You know, so there's a thought process behind it. People just
Yeah.
you don't really
They
see
just
it because
think
it's
he's
Tex.
a big nug.
Yeah,
Like,
because
it's
yeah,
you're
it's
right.
Tex. You know,
I was gonna switch gears real quick, Jeff. Like, what? How long have you been in jiu-jitsu now?
Oh, like a little over 2 years.
And you're a blue belt.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2 years in, like, how have you found your journey in jiu-jitsu? Like, how's it been for you?
I mean, don't know. We've talked about this a few times.
Yeah, I don't want to like go
No,
over
go
old
ahead.
content.
No.
It's good.
No,
Oh,
it's.
yeah.
I just kind of got started. You
Black
know,
belt ask you a question, you answer the question.
I got started
You
because
us him
my
and- no, I'm
my son started training,
Right.
and
How old's your son?
He's 10.
10 years
And
old.
Gray
he-
Belsh.
He
He
started
outranked
in-
Dad for a while.
Oh yeah, he's well. He's funny. I mean, he knows more. His Rolodex is way larger than
Super
mine.
smart kid.
On just moves. He come on Friday talking about something I did in comp class.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to show you this new move we learned today, and it's
Sasai. No gi Sasai. So it's just
Yeah.
like a foot sweep.
yeah.
So
and he
we're
was so
working
excited.
it off our overhooks when we're
Of course, he's
baiting the underhook.
trying to show it on his 6-year-old sister, and I'm like, let's. do it on her. But
Be
yeah,
careful, Josie
he's
be hitting him.
yeah. But no, I started at. I was very hesitant to get started just because I was so much older than everybody, and
It's a common theme.
so I thought, well, why not? You know, when nothing else, it'd be good for me to get in shape. And so when I started, I had read a statistic, and I have told this to so many people that have started so many different white belts, but I read a statistic that said something like 90% of the people who start jiu-jitsu will not stay in it for 6 months.
Mm.
And I said, okay. So I said, all right, my goal when I started in January of 22, I guess it was,
Yep.
I said, all right, I'm going to stay in it for 6 months. That was my goal. And so after 6 months, I was like, all right, I kind of like this. You know, I was starting to make some friends. I was enjoying the classes. And then I guess about maybe like at the 15, 16 month mark, somewhere there, almost a year and a half, got my blue belt. It was last June. And then, turned 2 years in January. So I don't know. I just enjoy it. It's helped me get in shape physically. And it's good for you mentally. Gives you confidence, gives you clarity. And I've met a lot of great people out of it too.
Yeah.
So
Whole family training now.
yeah,
Huh?
everybody's
Love
doing
that.
it. So
Yep.
That
Yeah,
is
me too.
awesome. That is awesome.
everybody is kung fu fighting.
Kung Fu fighting.
It's kind of hard a little bit sometimes to remember what it was like before you came and started training.
Yeah, I
Like-
mean,
like the it's
What did you do with your
BJ before
Tuesday
Jeff?
nights?
well, when I had, we moved to Bremen in 2019, and I moved into a somewhat neighborhood. I guess you could call that a neighborhood.
They have a covenant.
They have a covenant.
But I
It's
mean,
a bougie
What does that
neighborhood.
mean?
That's
don't
what
know.
I
It's
said.
not.
It's
It's
like
not
an
even
HOA.
a. It's
That
not
sounds
even an
some-
HOA.
That sounds like some cult stuff.
That's
That's
what
exactly
I
what we
said.
said.
A covenant.
Yeah,
It's
like
a covenant,
cult.
and they have beef with Sam House Road right down the street.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
got
They're
What's
Charlotte
Sam House
covenant.
Road?
It's
What am I
a
missing?
road behind.
It's
Harrelson
them.
County, basically.
They like have this
They got this
Hatfields and
beef.
McCoy.
Yeah.
Like think rich
Yeah.
white people, Hatfield and McCoys is exactly what they
Weren't
have.
they
Charlotte
rich
Lane,
white
baby.
people? At least one side was, wasn't they?
They got rich. The
ish.
One of them got.
Which one
Yeah.
was the Sean Connery?
the
Sean
Kentucky.
Connery.
Yeah, you never see the movie? Which one was Sean Connery?
There wasn't. Was there a movie with Sean Connery?
There's
about
They
that?
did a movie,
Hatfields and
Hatfields and the
McCoys,
McCoys.
but-
Yeah, yeah.
We're not talking about the mini series that.
No,
that
this is a
Costner
movie.
did.
No,
Oh,
Kevin Costner.
Costner. See,
Sean
gotcha.
Connery,
Sean
Kevin Costner.
Got
yeah.
him.
He threw me off for a
Yes,
minute. I was
Kevin Costner.
Dang.
Y'all don't- Yeah, there was that spinoff with Sean
Costner's
Connery.
family was they were the rich ones.
The rich
other-
ones.
I don't remember which ones they were.
The
Anyway,
Kentucky side.
we
The
digress.
Kentucky-
Yeah, the
Oh,
Kentucky
yeah.
side. Where there's the McCoys.
But before that,
Yes.
Yeah.
So before I moved, it was funny because when I moved out here to Bremen, I almost had to find like a new hobby, right? Because when I lived in Douglasville, on Brewer Road, I'd grown up in that house, and we had a bunch of land, and there was family all around, and I spent a lot of my extra time outside. I had a huge garden. I wouldn't consider myself a farmer, but I had goats and chickens and animals, and
You were fighting turkeys.
I had turkeys. I
Do
had
you have any pigs?
Man, I had all kinds of stuff. I had constantly had something to do. Like I would come home from work and I would stay outside until it was dark. And this was year round. I was always doing something. So when I sold all that and I moved out to Bremen, I literally was bored. Like it was just like, oh, what am I going to do now? And so, plus my kids were getting older, so it was kind of like, all right, they're getting involved in sports, and then it just kind of all fell into place, and gave me not only something to do, but it was something that was physically good for me. Lost some weight, all that.
How did you find integrity?
I was going to ask the same question.
For Penn?
I've actually told y'all this, but
Really?
so
Were you not paying attention?
so
Blue belts, man. We don't pay.
so Desi.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
Desi. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Desi's
And Rodney.
two boys.
Yeah.
Well, I know Jackson, the oldest, was training, and they went to school together, played soccer together.
Got it.
And they were at a birthday party at our house one time, and I think they had gotten there late because he had been at jiu-jitsu practice. And I thought, well, that's cool. And I said, Penn, I said, what do you think about, what if we went and tried out jiu-jitsu? That might be something cool. Because Penn's, my son is never, he just is not he's coordinated, and I wouldn't say he's not athletic, but he is not your typical athlete when it comes to just naturally gifted at, basketball or baseball or football, that sort of the traditional sports. And loves soccer, but we were just trying to find something that could be his niche. And so we came and tried jiu-jitsu, and he fell in love, and he is obsessed with it. And he, I think he is, I got to think, we were talking about this the other night. In the almost 3 years he's been here, I don't think there's been, other than like a family vacation, I don't think there's been a week where he has not trained less than 3 days.
Yeah,
awesome,
there's
in
yeah,
almost 3 years.
that would
He
be-
is so
that's probably pretty
boy is
accurate.
absolutely dedicated to coming. But anyway,
So what was your knowledge of jiu-jitsu before? Like, had you heard about it? Did you know anything?
I mean,
like
you said, the Gracie stuff, UFC. I mean, I knew very little.
Yeah.
I really didn't know anything of it. I did know that, I knew it was not. I knew it wasn't karate. That's what's
Yeah.
funny. You tell people you do jiu-jitsu, and
Thank God.
they immediately think,
like
oh,
ground karate.
yeah, they think that you do karate or something
Yeah.
stupid. And I knew it wasn't that, but I didn't know, very, very limited knowledge.
I've learned how to navigate that phone call. Is this the karate store or dojo?
Yeah.
Like, well, ma'am, we're not a karate academy. We're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy. I was like, are you familiar with what we do? And that kind of gets us going into it.
Who was that called? That
Oh,
sounded
I
like
get one
Tammy.
of those every couple weeks.
So, Jonathan, I have a very corporate job, right?
Yeah.
So I'm director of operations for a company that runs warehouses.
Good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Director of operations.
So yeah. I don't live in a place that has a covenant, though.
No, that you're.
No.
Well, no, it's a good neighborhood now. It used to be rowdy back
Yeah,
in the day,
see?
boy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Them
no
redneck
covenant.
boys.
Is there a gate?
No.
No,
No
no,
gate.
gate.
No.
There's a
No.
big oak tree.
Yeah,
In
just a
the
big
front.
oak tree.
It's Mount Zion, bro.
I don't think I've been to
It's
your
not
house,
even
have I?
named. I don't know. Have you never been to my house?
I came to a pool party, but I think that was
Not
your
at my house.
Definitely not.
It was Amanda's, Carrie's sisters.
okay.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. They're
graduation
They're
party.
bougie like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a pool.
No.
You have
No.
been trying to figure out a pool for like a year since I've known you. You'll have a pool.
You'll
Shut
have
up.
a pool. So we were. I was.
And
I was,
hopefully you'll have a pool before April.
yeah. Can we have one for
Summer is
June?
coming.
You know?
We got time.
getting
No, I'm
there.
just kidding.
So I was recently in Savannah.
I was in
helping,
Savannah like a week ago.
Really? I've been
Yeah.
down there for like the last 6 weeks.
Really? I probably
Yeah.
just missed you.
Yeah. So but I helping out at a new site, and one of our implementation managers, I'd never worked with him before. He was out on the floor, and we hadn't really talked a lot at all. So it was very work. And one day, after about 3 weeks in, he said something about training some MMA, getting back in the gym. And he's a younger guy. I said, really, that's cool. I said, I train a little bit, and I'm always cautious with jiu-jitsu
Same.
and
Yep,
corporately,
absolutely.
because you don't ever know how the conversation's going to
Right.
go. And I don't want to get frustrated at people's lack of awareness of what it is. And so I was like, yeah, I train. He's like, oh, really? He said, what do you do? Like, Muay Thai. As soon as he said Muay Thai, I was like, oh, you do know a little bit of something about something.
Of the
Yeah.
realness.
Yeah, about the realness of it's not just like it didn't immediately go to karate. And And I was like, no, I trained jujitsu. He's like, oh, really? He said, how long you done that? I said, 15, 16 years. He said, oh. He said, wait. He said, are you a black belt? And I said, yeah, I've been a black belt a couple of years now. He said, oh, my God. So we got distracted, kind of moved away, and it's mostly younger guys because it's a cross docking operation. So they're just unloading trailers from one side, moving them, loading them onto another. So I was walking through the site, the next day, and a couple of the young guys were over there unloading trailers. So they say, hey, Mark, come here. I was like, yeah. He's like, we heard you're bad. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, bad? I said, no, I'm in khakis and a polo.
Yeah.
I said, no. I said, man, what are you talking about? He said, no, Robert done told us about you. and I said, what did he tell you? He said, he told us you was bad. He said, you like a black belt in jiu-jitsu or something? And I was like, oh, really? And it was funny though, because you don't get that a lot.
Yeah.
When people know that you train, it's like you get ignorant still.
Yeah.
Which what made me think of it is you, Jeff, and not that you're ignorant. Jeff's ignorance.
He's just
made
not
me
as
think of
like,
it.
well,
But no, it still happens now because what happened to me, 20 years ago, where jiu-jitsu is so new, and you and our like origin with jiu-jitsu, there's still so many people that have no idea what it is.
No.
And like you have the experience that you had with it was a little bit of UFC, and you knew who the Gracies were.
Yeah.
That even now in 2024, that's still the majority of people in the world.
Well, and I
That's
think
their
too for
extent.
me that just the 2 years that I've done this has been an eye opener to the world of self defense, like the reality of what is really there. That most people, I'll just say most men.
Yeah.
Especially that 20 to 35 age range that are just full of, piss and vinegar.
they think they can fight.
And they think,
There's a lot of folks who just think.
but they think,
This is what I would do.
think, oh man, if I had done that to me, this is what I would have done.
Yep.
Right.
So, yeah.
And in the reality, I'm thinking, you just hadn't met the right person because you
Right.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
And growing up boxing, Dad boxed from the time I was little and boxed professionally. And so it was very different for me because I know what it's like to fight somebody that knows how to fight. And Dad teaching my brother and I how to fight growing up, he would always say, he's like, listen, you are going to be a better fighter than almost anybody out there because people don't even know how to throw a punch. You know how to slip a punch. You know how to throw straight punches. You will beat, and that was the case. I got in several fights going through school, and it's almost unfair for people that actually know how to fight.
100%.
It's just unfair. And then jiu-jitsu adds this whole other realm of it. Well, now I can beat you up without even punching you. I don't have to punch you or kick you. I can get to your back. I can control you on the ground. I can, treat you like somebody's weird uncle and make you hit yourself.
That's totally not where I thought you were going with that.
I was about to say.
I was like, jeez, bro. That's a
It's
little
like, what
dark.
class was that?
I think that was the old DEF CON.
we wait. Purple
Young
belt.
Brandon's going to sign up for that.
Wow.
Man,
He's the one that said
Jeez.
it. I love him, but he said it. He's the one that went there.
Well, he did talk about some raunchiness after
He
open
did.
mat today.
Did he? I
Yeah.
totally
see,
missed
you
all
weren't
of
there
It was
for
a
that.
whole debate. I don't know if it's worth going over.
We're not going there. My mom's watching.
We keep Barb.
Barbara, we're sorry.
Barb, you know what it is.
Barb is like she's like our number one fan, and she's
Yeah.
like,
It's Jeff's mom.
and
Love
she
it.
is like
Yep.
old school Southern Baptist.
Yeah. She's the sweetest
Are
lady in the
those
world.
bottles of alcohol on the desk?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah. What did
I
she
heard
say
Kyle
at
say something that started with an F.
Yeah. What did she
You need
say
to
at
bring him to
McCoy's
church.
Sweet 16?
Is that?
Oh, when you walked in, it was right when you walked in, and she said something about, is Kyle here? And I said, he just walked in the door, and she goes, is he the one that says the F word?
I called it.
Yes, ma'am. That's him.
And then when she met him, she
Love
said,
it.
"So you're the F guy."
You're the F guy. And then she apologized. She's like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. Kyle's like, no, look, I'm sorry.
no,
It's-
I
it's-
am. I
it's
should be
me.
better.
I'm the
I'm
one that should
sorry.
be apologizing.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Oh,
We
so
love you,
funny.
Barb. We really do.
But yeah, man, I do love I love this sport. It's been good. It's been good for me. It's been good for my whole family.
We're
Yeah,
glad
absolutely.
you're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
We got something special coming up. Saturday or Friday.
I think it's on Friday.
Friday. We have Fight to Win's coming to Atlanta.
Sweet.
They're
Isn't
making
that
their
special
round through.
anymore? It's special when our guys go out.
Okay,
and compete
so Fight to
anytime.
Win now is what Naga used to be when we started. Because I remember when Naga,
It's the Naga of.
it's the Naga
Super
of
fights.
now.
Is Naga still around?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
they
yeah.
made
I
a
thought
comeback.
it
no,
was.
it's still
But-
it's big. It's the biggest tournament that comes through here.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's all kids in white belts and blue belts. It's no upper belts.
but there's
when-
like 1,000 of them
there's a ton of them
That's why I'm not going.
on a Saturday.
on a Saturday all
good.
day,
Not 2 days.
all day,
Gi, no gi.
That sounds loud.
all day. Kids,
Oh,
then adults.
buddy, I sweat out at least a shirt,
yeah.
and I'm
It's
just
bad,
coaching my
bro.
guy.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
bad.
especially since Dominic's been competing.
But like back in like when you were talking about when Tex said he won Naga,
Yeah.
Naga would have 8 or 10 black belts competing.
Sure.
You know,
Or like
and
a
that's
super
all you
fight
had.
if they're
you know, it was-
released.
yeah, they would have
Grappler's Quest.
all that stuff. Well, now it's purple belts and under basically, and nothing but Fight to Win is kind of Kyle and I were talking about. They've kind of became that now
Of the
super fight
promotions, yeah.
because they just put on so many. And
They put on so
just
many, but they also like put
mail it in.
Yeah, like
They just mail it in.
you don't know any fights until like the
Tuesday or
week, basically week.
Wednesday.
Some of them like this is better than last year or
Yeah.
the year before, where it was like you were finding out the week of.
Yeah.
Super fights, you're supposed to have like a
Yeah.
do you hate ticket sales? Like you're supposed to build it up and everything.
Sure.
Like they at one point had guys like Tex and Barbosa on the main event. Like they had main events like that.
Yeah, that's a good card.
And they like now I don't even know who the main event is on most
Yeah,
of these.
when I looked at the Charlotte one that they had last week, I didn't recognize any of them.
Why do you think there's been such a change then? I mean, because certainly people are training more and more.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
They're putting a ton of them out, and
think it's
and,
just-
and they don't. What's his name?
Seth Daniels.
Daniels. Yeah, the guy that
Yeah,
that
I
owns it.
know. Why do I know his
You
name?
remember Seth Daniels?
He trained
yeah.
with those or something? Why do I remember
No,
him?
but I think you may have trained around him.
I
I don't
might
know.
have. I don't-
Yeah.
Man, he sounds.
He trained for a lot of tattoos, neck tattoos.
Yeah, tattoos, all that. Anyway,
But he had a lot of fight promotion. But he also helped out a lot with ADCC stuff,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
but Fight to Win used to be a big deal because they would come through and you'd know it weeks in advance.
And it was
they-
it was a
was
night.
hot.
It was
Yeah,
a,
it was
it was a hot,
big
cool,
night.
badass night. You know.
and then when COVID kind of happened and
Oh, man.
That's
everything
true.
else shut down, he started having a bunch of them though in Texas because no one else was putting anything
Oh,
on.
gotcha.
So he's having them like every week in Austin. He would have a fight. There would be a Fight to Win every weekend.
Right.
And it started getting more and more diluted the more he had. So then as he kind of came out of that 2020 and into 2021, he just started having more and more and more. And you saw, and it was the amount of time that that you got any advance notice of where he was going or who was fighting started getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And now, like, we've got guys that are fighting Friday where they found out the Wednesday before, Thursday before, 8 days before.
Yeah, I wasn't making.
And there's no poster out. There's no promotion really.
Well, there's
of
no
it.
weigh-ins. You're setting your weigh-in by video.
Weigh-ins are on video. Just
Tell me
record
the
it, video record
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I promise I'm
I
only.
promise. Yeah, that's exactly
I
right.
swear, only 195.
At least the NFC makes you go live.
Yeah.
You know, NFC does
There's just-
remote, but you
Do
got to
they-
have to
So
go
everybody
live.
can see it.
Is there a website?
Well,
at
those old
least that
scales, you
There's
can
like a
adjust
phone number you send it to.
No, so there's no. That's what I'm saying. Is there like a website that has the brackets and?
No, there's super fights. So it's just one fight at a time. Like a fight card.
Yeah.
Like an NFC fight card. Like it's just like a fight
okay,
card, but
okay.
like you don't have a bracket to run through. Some of them will do like throughout the night, throughout matches, they'll have like a quintet bracket that
Yeah.
will go on throughout the night until it hits the main event. But no, they're just one at a time. You know,
They sound a little ridiculous.
No,
Yeah.
it's
definitely a lot of
getting more and more.
mismanagement too.
Yeah, it could be so much more than what
Money
it is. And that's what it kind of comes
That's what it
off as.
sounds
They're
like.
just
I was
and
thinking
he's
earlier, it's a money
added
grab.
he's added a bunch
I
of
don't know.
matches too. So he's added a bunch of white or blue belts and kids matches just for the ticket sales because then they ask each competitor to sell 8 tickets or sell whatever however many tickets. So he's added a bunch of matches. So now they start at 5:00. and they go to 11 o'clock. The event.
Ew.
It starts at 5
Ew
p.m.
is right.
Yeah,
I don't like
starts
that.
at 5
It was
p.m.
right. No, buddy.
So and it's they're all super fights. So it's just one match going on at a time,
Dude, that's
and he's just trying to sell tickets. But
Seems
it's
like-
still cool because it's still cool for the guys because the event it's set up really nice. It's on a big elevated stage. It's got the lights.
Oh, they got
It's
a
on- it's
formula
on
down
pay-per-view.
as far as putting on the
on
show.
pay-per-view?
Fight TV.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on Fight. It used to be on Flow
Used to be
Grappling.
on
What
Flow.
is the like the trophy or medal that you get? Do you get a
Do you even
battle
get a-
axe
get
or
a
something?
medal?
Or
No,
I don't know what you get.
you don't get anything?
I don't think you get anything.
Give me a
a medal.
$2.
I think they get a medal.
Do they?
Do
get
they?
a
I
medal?
don't know.
I don't know.
No, because Sam's won one. He didn't get nothing.
I don't think he got nothing.
Just got his hand raised.
Yeah, like attaboy.
Yeah,
Thanks for the ticket sales.
Seems rather lazy.
But
to
the
me.
fighters get paid, right? Based off ticket sales.
Oh, they get
just
paid?
just
Yeah.
commission off.
Yeah, you're
ticket
not
sales.
buying it. You don't have to pay
All
to
right,
get in.
if Mark goes out and does one of these, he gets how much money?
Well, if he's
Or-
a black belt and we sell it,
Let's say he's a blue belt.
maybe $80.
Yeah,
$100. It just depends on your ticket sales.
Okay. All right.
So you'd have to have, I forget what your percentage, like that whole ticket sales part is kind of, like if you're not a draw, like, I don't
It's
know, that
tough.
part's weird. Like some of it's me doing the work for you,
Sure.
but, I wouldn't have a platform to sell them at if you didn't have your thing. So I don't know, it gets kind of wonky. It gets kind of weird.
Okay. So
Like,
it's happening in Atlanta here soon.
In Atlanta, Friday
next
the
Friday.
8th.
Okay.
Yeah, so Buddha has a match.
Buddha's got a
and
match.
Isaac's got a match.
Isaac's got a match.
Which you had asked Jonathan why I hated Odyssey.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so you asked that on our last podcast.
Here
here we are.
So Buddha actually has a match against someone from Odyssey Friday night. So we were at a NFC quintet event. So we had put a quintet in, a quartet, four. Was it four?
it was
I think
4.
Quartet against a quartet from Odyssey.
It was
4v4.
Buddha, Dylan, Everett, Heath.
Yep. So we had
But-
four guys from our gym. It was purple belt and under, and we were against Odyssey. Everett had went out, and
Well, mind you, we had blown through one team. We had a
Blew
great
through
set
one
in the
team.
bracket. We were
and those
we
four
were right to
are
win it,
really good.
and it was coming down to basically it was going to come down to whoever won out of us and Odyssey going into the final pretty much should be able to beat that team.
Because that other side of the bracket was kind of was
a little light.
Was a little light.
Okay.
So Everett was a purple, getting ready to be promoted to brown. Heath was a purple, getting ready to be promoted to brown.
He got brown recently.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Both of those have been promoted
That's
to
awesome.
brown recently.
Like
yeah.
I remember when Heath was just nothing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like good for him, man.
No, it's
Proud.
awesome. Buddha who wrestled and is a very competitive blue belt, and then Dylan is also a solid blue belt. So we had 4 really good guys, and Everett did he subbed one guy, right?
He subbed the first guy.
First
in
guy
like,
in like
Not out of Odyssey, did he?
oh yeah, he went
yeah. He
Yeah.
went through the first guy really quick.
real fast.
Out of Odyssey, or
Yeah.
was that the team before?
No, I think it was Odyssey.
Well, that happened, and then
Then he stayed
Heath
out.
ended up with 2
Yeah,
left.
Yeah, so he
that
stayed
right?
out. Yeah.
Okay.
So Everett, because so Everett submitted
we'll
the
give
first
away
guy,
the spoiler alert if we're,
and then the second guy that came out from Odyssey did this super weird, awkward jump guard and trashed Everett's knee, dislocated his
Oh
knee,
man, I hate that.
shredded
I know
it,
exactly what
shredded
you're
it.
talking
Everett
about.
sneezed.
It was-
Well, he did it with a fucking butterfly hook in.
Yeah,
Jumped it with a butterfly
Wait a minute.
hook in. Yeah.
You're saying he like just simply raised his instep into the
So Everett went to double, and as Everett makes entry, he jumps. And when he jumps, one leg's going over, and the other one's like hooked on the inside.
We got a video
And
of
he's going into the pressure. Oh, every bad guard jump, knee break thing
It's
you've
terrible.
ever seen looks just like that.
so Everett's taking him down.
his
so
I'm
knee-
instead
still
of going,
very confused on how this happened.
instead of
but-
going down, he jumps into Everett's knee.
it. I can
basically,
find the video.
Yeah, he jumps. Everett's knee is underneath him and basically hyperextends out sideways.
And go, "Tpow."
That's terrible.
Heard it.
It was
pop,
very bad.
like from the top rail.
Everett's
Hey,
initially
screaming.
I am so
Screaming.
blessed that I've never had a hard knee injury.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, man.
So that happens, okay, in the middle of this thing. So Everett's obviously out. He can't continue.
Yep.
Kyle and I were coaching. Kyle goes with Everett over to the side. They take him off the mat. Everybody's like, "Oh my God!" You know, it was just everything kind of paused.
Yeah.
So Odyssey had two coaches, older white guy and a younger black guy. The older white guy comes over and he's like, "Hey man, we feel terrible about this." I was like, "Thank you." And he's like, "Here's what we're going to do. Since obviously your guy can't continue, so he's out. We're going to drop our guy."
Found it. Yep.
Yeah, let him watch it.
Well, it's just a still picture of.
Oh,
I'm still not. Oh, now I
See what I'm
see.
saying? How dumb is that?
So wait, so the guy who's pulling jumped into the
yes.
Yes.
takedown,
Into the
Yes.
hook.
and that's why he hyperextended the
Yes.
way he did.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Like
so-
that meme, like ew, brother,
yeah.
ew. Like, yeah.
So their coach comes over and he's like, "Hey, we feel terrible. We're going to pull our guy out, so we're at least, your guy went out. We're going to take our guy out too, and we'll continue the quartet." I said, "Thank you very much. That's a very kind gesture, you guys. I know you didn't have to do that, but you did. So thank you very much."
Good
So
sportsmanship.
Yeah, it was very good sportsmanship. So he
Very
turns-
noble it is.
very noble. Yeah, I was
Gain a lot of fucking stripes from me. You would.
Yep, would have been great. So he turns around, he walks back over to the other black belt that was here coaching with him
Yep.
on the other side of the mat, and I'm the Odyssey, the guys from Odyssey, the competitors, then start hyping the crowd up while Everett's still screaming over here.
Like, look what we've done.
Yeah, let's
Destroyed
go,
his-
let's
yeah, that's
go,
what's up.
let's go. All this craziness, which really pissed me off. I didn't. It was just. It did. I didn't like it. I don't say pissed me off. I just didn't like it. It's like, come on, guys, have a little class.
yeah.
And
still
the
over
guy's
here.
he's
gonna probably have surgery.
He had
did have surgery, yeah.
He's been out for a year.
Still not.
Still hasn't been training.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shredded.
Multiple
ligaments.
Yeah.
It shredded his knee.
That guys, man, I'm telling you, that's why later in life I've gone away from the whole competing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Man.
I'm trying to get Buddha. All of our guys are like wide-eyed, shell-shocked, like, oh my God, I hope Everett's okay. I'm trying, while Kyle's over there with Everett, I'm trying to get them squared and centered back up. We're getting ready to go compete again. Hey guys, listen, Everett will be, we got to focus on this. So then Buddy walks back over. Their coach walks back over. Or no, walks over. I see him walk to the referee. I'm sorry. So he doesn't walk to me. He walks to the referee. And the referee then walks over to me. He said, "Hey, they said they changed their mind. They're not pulling their guy."
Okay.
And I look across the mat, and it's that they're the older coach and then the ultra heavyweight guy. They kind of like glanced at me and then like looked away. I said, "Hey, like what are you guys
What
doing?"
the hell, man?
So I really didn't
Now,
like it.
wasn't there some sort of? Didn't Clay intervene at some point in the middle of that? There was some point where like there was some discrepancy on whether they could do that in the
Yeah,
rules.
so they were.
I don't think he said they didn't have to.
Yes, that's what there was.
But if they wanted
like,
to withdraw
Clay-
him, they could.
Clay
Clay
comes
like
over.
confirmed it.
He's
more
like,
or less.
hey, he's like, if he wants to, if
he
they want to
wants to
withdraw
keep
him,
going,
he could,
he
they
can,
could,
but
he
if
can
they
tap
wanna
out, he
make
can
it
pull out.
because
he can do
Clay's head
whatever.
ref,
Clay
Yeah.
Bennett's the head ref of it, and he's like, but they don't have to, and so I was like, okay, I said, well, I appreciate that, and then it just everything kind of unraveled for us, and the rest of that. Buddha went out and stalled,
He got
stalled out,
kamikazed
out from the guy that did that. And then Dylan went out, and he hadn't competed a lot. He was the youngest blue belt, so he went out and got subbed.
he got subbed.
He went out. and
Dylan
got
has
subbed.
some really pretty jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And you either get like the most awesome jiu-jitsu out of Dylan in competing, or you get like paralysis by analysis.
And he was a
just
really
freezes.
young blue
You
belt.
talked to me about him.
Yes.
Not super long ago, but I remember specifically, and you said that you're like, yeah, we got this one kid. He's really good. But sometimes he gets on the mat and he just overthinks it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Which is
that's why it's
unf-
important to have a game plan.
Absolutely.
Of some sort.
Absolutely.
Just have something.
So-
Well, have a baseline, right? That you can
exactly.
that you can fall back to when you get in the weeds.
That's what I always said. For me, like as a coach, I was always trying to encourage people to have like the thing that they know they're good at, their
Like
core,
an A game.
like their core that they know they're good at, and then like have something that like a part of their game at the very least that they're practicing. And if you're really about the tournaments, do like, okay, my goal is going to be I'm going to do 2 IBJJF events. And then in between those, you do like a bunch of little tournaments.
Yep.
And you don't care about those tournaments.
Right.
You just go there simply to test the thing that
Yep.
you're working on.
Absolutely.
And if it works, you go to the IBJJF and you use it.
Yep.
If it doesn't work, then put it back on the drawing board and try to figure it out.
Yeah, and
But-
decide if you're going to keep developing or scrap it.
Correct.
You
And
know?
and honestly, like I hate to backtrack us a little bit, but
yeah.
like going back to what I was saying about the taking notes, that's like another thing that I learned coming up. It's just kind of if you're deliberate about your training, you get better faster.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of folks, especially like back when I first started, you just sort of came in and like I remember Helson would just sit down and be like, okay, who has questions? And maybe you get an answer to a thing that he talked about a week ago. Maybe you don't see that technique again for 6 months. You don't
Right.
know, right? So like, and I think a lot of folks do this where they just kind of learn jujitsu willy nilly, like off the cuff and just randomly. They don't put any real thought to what they're doing. And that's why I always tell people like draw out 3 submissions, 3 sweeps from every guard position that you like to play. And if you find like, oh shoot, like half guard, I only have 1 thing I do from there. Well, add 2 more. And then you know what I'm saying? At least that'll get you to a core baseline.
Yeah.
And you can go from there. But yeah, again, I just think it's so important to journal, freaking be deliberate about your training, use those small tournaments for, development to the big ones, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
digress.
So that's Dylan was a very new blue belt then at that point. So he and everything just started unraveling for us as a team when
Yeah.
all that happened.
That sucks, man.
And so we ended up losing that match. Well, Buddha now has the match that he has.
Before you tell them about
Yeah.
Buddha's match, just to tack on, and you asked me to go, why is there such a rub? As soon as the match was over,
yeah.
these guys acted like they had won the
Oh.
World Series, and
That's
and it's one thing to celebrate, but there was zero class in the way they accepted their win. You got a guy laying over here on a couch with an ice pack. You just ruined him for the next year. And these guys are just hooping and hollering and jumping. I mean, they acted like such dicks. I mean, there was such just arrogant jackasses about the whole thing.
It was a
And I
great-
think that's what rubbed everybody the wrong way.
everyone. This is a great moment, though, Jonathan. After Buddha went out and he got stalled out from that guy, they were going nuts, right? Everybody's going crazy.
Hooray, you stalled good.
Yeah, and just they're going crazy. Their bench is going crazy. Their coaches, they're high-fiving each other. And I grabbed Buddha as
Meanwhile,
he
we're
was
little.
coming off.
We're little integrity.
Yeah,
man.
we're just a little
What the hell?
integrity over here in Carrollton. I grabbed Buddha by his shoulders and I put my finger in his chest. I said, "You hear that right there? You hear that?" I said, "Don't you ever forget this."
Yeah.
You hear this? You hear what they're doing? Don't you ever forget that.
Yep.
And he's giving me the yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and then Kyle right afterwards, I had no idea.
Mark's already walked away.
I done walked away, and I'm coaching the rest. So Kyle grabs him right after.
Do you hear that?
Does the same thing.
Like if you were watching Buddha at that time, you would have had Mark chewing him out, pointing and everything. Mark walks away. I come from off the stage. Buddha, you hear this shit? I'm hitting him in the chest. We ain't never letting this shit happen again. He's yes sir, yes sir. I'm like fucking right.
Dude, I tell you what, I mean, y'all, you heard my story earlier. I grew up in the traditional martial arts, and there's still some level of like, decency, and,
Yeah.
and like that's and I grew up playing soccer. It's meant to be the gentleman's
Yeah.
sport, even though it's like ref, he like clipped my ankle
Yeah.
and you're down on the ground.
Owie.
Anyway, but I one of the guys that I've had a few like people that I really have taken a lot of notes from, and I mentioned Jacare before. Like I really heavily influenced or based my game off of Jacare, Marcelo, and on Marcelo. If you notice, no matter what, no fight that he has ever been in, he if he wins, he never gets up and jumps around or
Right,
anything. He
right.
literally gets up and it's like, it looks like he just rolled out of bed.
Yeah.
And I just respect him so much for that because he doesn't make a big scene of it. Like now, his bench might come over there and toss him in the air a few times or whatever.
Yeah.
But even in that, he may crack a small smile. Like he's one of the classiest guys in jiu-jitsu, and I just took a lot from watching him coming up. No matter what he was doing, no matter how prestigious the tournament, he acted like
I think
a classy
that's become the
individual.
way of the world. You know, I read a comment recently about Mickey Mantle, and he said that when he hit a home run, that when he rounded the bases, he normally kept his. They asked him, because they said you always keep your head down when you're rounding the bases, and you almost look like you're just unimpressed with yourself. And you know what he said? And this is a documented quote. He said, I figure the pitcher already feels bad enough about giving up a home run. And he said, and I didn't want to make him feel any worse.
Wow.
And he said, so I just kept my head down as I rounded the base. And I thought, man, you don't have that kind of class anymore in sports. Now they flip.
It's
they want to
gross.
flip the bat, and they flip each other off, and it's just like, where is that class gone? That respect of the game.
In jiu-jitsu, it's a lot of the philosophy being lost.
Yeah.
To be honest, and I mean, history's shown where this kind of happens throughout combat sports, and then for now, it's like the entertainment factor to sell, put butts in the seats and make money, and then, in a lot of ways, it's with good intention if you're getting fighters paid and all this and that, but promotions like NFC Fight to Win and stuff like that, that's not the case, and you got blue belts and purple belts and young men and stuff acting like fucking idiots. Like this is the pivotal moment in their life, and it's like
Yeah. I
think
act like you've
partial-
been here and have a little class.
Yeah, I think partly to blame there is like we talked about like it's kind of been lost in jiu-jitsu, but I think if you look at the history, how it came from Japan, and when it came to Japan, there's obviously a lot of different takes on how it got there and all the rest, and different family members in the Gracies will tell you one thing or
Right.
the other. But like, I think the traditional kind of manners, the Japanese manners, and that sort of thing that were in martial arts sort of were left out because like the Central South American, like Latino,
Yeah.
European, Latin, Hispanic, Portuguese culture is a little bit more machismo,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I think you couple that with MMA coming and being this big, ridiculous thing starting in the 90s, and then pile on social media where now like all you got to have is a phone, and you can take a video of yourself and like edit and talk all this
I'm
smack about
famous.
some Yahoo that you fought from toe to toe or wherever
Yeah.
that doesn't, like, if you're not in Georgia, like I mean you've been talking to me about people that I don't know half these gyms because I don't live here anymore,
Right.
but I mean it makes these people feel like they are a superstar.
Yep.
And I don't know, I just think that's why you guys were talking to me about earlier, that's why I don't really hardcore follow MMA and I don't hardcore follow jiu-jitsu. Do I do study of like fights and matches? Yes, but I could care less. Nothing against Mikey Musumeci, but I don't care what Mikey Musumeci thinks. I don't care
I
what
don't either because I hate
Braulio
him.
Estima thinks. I don't care what Andre Galvao thinks. I just want to watch how good they are at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And same thing with MMA. I don't care. Sean Strickland, like he's kind of entertaining sometimes, I suppose, but I kind of just want to watch him knock people out. And I don't really care about his politics or where he comes from in life or whatever. Like, I wish sometimes I wish we could kind of go back to where
Same.
these people weren't on this platform where they thought. I think there's a lot of egotism where like people think that, well, I am this popular.
It
and
makes money.
Well,
It does make money.
look
it
at
does
the
make
Diaz
money, but I
brothers.
think that's the dangerous
mean-
part of it. I think that's because it's not football, it's not soccer, it's not baseball, it's a combat sport. People are fighting. It's there's a different thing happening here. It's you're seeing the most vulnerable somebody can absolutely be, and that's like if this doesn't stop, that person got beat to death or choked to death or something like that.
Yeah, if there's no rules, somebody's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty vulnerable, and I think should probably respect it. Like in like commentators and stuff, kind of they do that kind of stuff where, he's giving up or he's this, he's that, and it's like, dude, do you have any clue what it's like to sit there and be in front of
I can't
everyone
listen
you
to the
know
commentators, man.
and get your ass whooped in front of everyone you ever known?
I can
like,
listen to like Joe, but he knows what he's talking
the good
about.
ones that are like at least, and I don't mind being like somebody being like what's the word? Like not critical, but what is the word? Not critical.
It's not critical. We've established.
Is it critical?
We've established it's not critical.
Constructive.
Constructive
Like
criticism.
constructive criticism. Like I don't mind if it's constructive. Like that makes sense. Like if it's an honest assessment, like
Yeah, being
like
honest.
he's starting to
is,
wilt.
yeah.
He's starting to like okay, well
He's
then they're
struggling with
and it's
this.
obvious like okay, something in his preparation was
Yes.
not correct here. Like you know, that's fine pointed out, but I think it's dangerous for as all this starts to grow and jiu-jitsu starts to grow that you know the Gordon Ryan precedent that's been set. You know, is like that's Gordon Ryan. He's an outlier. Like blue belt, 17-year-old
Yeah.
at Naga. That ain't you, buddy.
yeah,
Take
you're
your
not
fucking
Gordon.
gold and
Yeah, you're
be
not a
happy. Go
millionaire.
back training.
I would
man.
also say, and this is something that's been what I mean, since I moved back to Carrollton all those years ago and started kind of teaching, one thing that was important to me is that, you know, obviously I said it's important to me to bring you with me and that you get better than me eventually, but also like I want you to be a good person too.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of have a problem sharing the mats with people that are not really good people, and I think for y'all, since you're in a position to teach some of these youngsters, some of these kids don't have a positive role model, and I think it's really important to,
That's
as
a fact.
strong good men, to help them show them like what a good man looks like and how to act, because some of them y'all might be the only look they get
Yeah.
at that. So
Yeah.
I think that's like profoundly important, and I mean it's a responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, that's why if like I ever owned a gym, you know, it wouldn't be just the martial art of it. It'd be like, hey guys, today we're going to spend 2 minutes, and that's it, at the end of class, talking about like why we do what we do. For me, like I know that half of what I do in the martial arts, you know, I carry a gun all the time. I, you know, train, keep in shape. A lot of that's just I feel a duty to myself and to others around me to protect myself and them. So like stuff like that, pushing those life lessons, because I think a lot, again, people don't get these lessons a lot of the time. So it's going to be taken for
and I
granted.
think there too that our gym has we've developed a little bit of a culture from what I've noticed. Like I mean, I can think of a few, you know, guys that have came in and were pretty quickly weeded out, you know, in one way
we
or
were talking
another.
about that earlier.
Yeah, and it was more of just an organic thing. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't
you
like
just tell they
anything that
don't-
had to, like it wasn't anything that had to be a scene. It just
No, it's just
it's just unmesh.
You're
You know,
the
it's
opposite magnet. You're opposite polarized magnet. So
they
you're
know
just you're going to get pushed away.
Well, people that want to be around fuck shit don't want to be around positive stuff.
Right.
Like they don't. So go find the fuck shit, man. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You'll find it. I'm sure. Keep
Absolutely.
looking.
Probably at Odyssey.
And Odyssey, you will find it Friday.
I don't know. They're a pretty
March
successful
the
gym.
8th.
They
are.
They Atlanta Open Nogi.
What's their lineage? Who's their
Henzo?
Henzo.
really?
Yeah.
I think so.
Through Creighton.
Oh, that would make sense.
Through
Okay,
Creighton.
that
Yeah,
would
I
make
think
sense.
it is Henzo.
That makes sense. You know, he was like,
But they pulled team
Yeah, they
one,
put a lot of
one
numbers.
Atlanta
they got
Open,
a lot of numbers.
Nogi,
Yeah,
and that's against Alliance, Travin, and Gracie
I was about
Baja.
to say, there's a lot of heavy hitters out in Atlanta.
yeah Travin always.
that pull multiple affiliates. They
Yeah.
did it all out of their academy.
Yeah.
Like they're on the
they're
up
big.
and coming for sure.
Yeah,
For
they're
sure.
big.
They've earned
And I
it.
would love to help them up and come with a super fight against their ultra heavyweight black belt.
I think it would definitely boost their whole
Look, I just
strategic.
I know they listen. We do have some of them that listen
Okay.
to the podcast. So look, guys, set it up. Holler at me. Holler at your boy. I would love to have a super fight against.
Would that be your tap out?
Yeah, I'll tap out with that. Holler at your boy.
Holler at your boy.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
What you
got? I'll tap out to good luck to our competitors and shout out to our blue belt Liz, who went and took double gold today at the local tournament here in Carrollton. At a girl.
That was
Way
her
to pull
first
it.
first tournament. That was her first,
Yes, the very first time because she
competition,
always works on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And she found one since it was local.
She does. She cuts my hair, and she does a great job. So if anybody's looking for a good barber,
Where does she cut hair? dude?
Jenkins Barbershop in Douglasville. She
In
does
Douglasville,
a great
that's
job,
what it is.
man.
Elizabeth Garvey, congratulations.
Yep, good job, Liz.
So, I'm tapping out there.
I'm going to
Hefe.
tap out Jonathan, great to meet you. Enjoyed it. Heard a lot of good things about you, and enjoyed you being on the show. And hopefully you can get back down this way soon. But
Yeah,
let's
I'd
put
love
tap
that.
out. Close it out for us.
Well, shoot. Yeah, thank y'all for having me. Are we doing a number 3 at some point?
Nah, well, we
Not
we
today,
can. Not
but-
today.
Not today.
Yeah,
Cool.
not
We'll
today.
do number 3, and we'll address that 9/11 question.
Yes.
Word.
Yes.
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be a
But-
whole nother segment. Yeah.
But I guess I'll just tap out with, man, like, as always, it's really wonderful to see both of you. And it was good to meet you, too. Because, I tune in sometimes, and there's always that picture of you getting choked out by a belt or what's going
Yeah,
on
it's a
in
belt.
there?
It's a
Yeah.
belt.
It's a
We're
hitman
not
choke.
real sure what's going on
Not
there.
Called a
real
hitman
sure.
choke.
We're due for some new photos.
Got it.
Jeff wants rid of that picture so bad.
Begging for, offered to pay for a photo shoot.
Yeah, he
Look,
offered
you
to
didn't
pay
want
for
the
a
first one because you
professional.
were like 30 pounds heavier.
I know.
Yeah.
And then the second
And we
one
gave you a second one.
looks like some
that's your
weird
second one here, ladies and
Thailand
gentlemen.
stuff.
That's right there. That is the one, ladies and
Love
gentlemen.
it.
We've got it on our
on the live stream right now.
overlaid live stream right
You're
now.
welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Cam and the Rev. And then there's Jeff.
Ew.
We're out, guys.